Welcome back. We've got a really great day, jam-packed today, even more acts than before. So let me give you a run-through of who we've got in. So from the music scene, we have got Simon Greenhill, really good musical renditions from Les Mis and another, I think South Pacific is the one he's doing for us today. Darran Jackson from In Echoes, really looking forward to seeing him. Always like his music, really great on the guitar. We've also got Callum Butterworth. You may know him from The Voice. He's joining us today as well. And we're going to have another set from Jimbo, Lynch Music. So, again, go check out and support these guys if you can. From the interview side, we've got a lot of people from the community. We're going to hear from the new owner of Brighouse Town and a little bit of controversy or controversy about their promotion, not promotion type stuff. So you'll hear about that and what they're also doing for charities. We're going to hear from Dave Grayson at Halifax Rugby League, as well as the Faxtrust, the Halifax Independent Supporters Trust. We've got Hannah Cockroft and Lizzie Jones sitting down an interview with ITV's Gaynor Barnes, so you won't want to miss that. That's a really good spot as well. Message from the council, from the sports team. Really interesting bit. If you are an administrator for a junior sports team, he's going to run through just some of the grants that you can maybe qualify for. So there's some cash to be taken there for the sport, which of course we're all about. We've got a really nice piece from Pete Emmett, which I mentioned yesterday. He reckons he's not funny. However, I can't help but smile anytime I hear anything from him, which is fantastic. We've got a great Fax fan interview from Will Bonfield coming up. And he has interviewed a couple of guys, which I'm really looking forward to, Mick O Byrne, I think Graham Garrod, and they talk about some of the memories at Thromall, which is really great to see. We've also got the Minster Canon Vicar coming around, which we're looking forward to, and we're going to top it off with a really, really fun interview with Damian Gibson, and a few of his pals sit down with Brian Carney from Sky Sports News. I think we've got Des Clark, we've got Greg Florimo and Gavin Clinch, and boy, those guys, they really let it rip and talk about all sorts. In fact, I think Marty Moana might be on that as well, but again, really, really, really great clip. So thank you for being here. I'm going to keep it short and sweet this morning. Coming up next, we've got a couple of videos from Cami again. And we're also going to listen to the story behind Brighouse Town. I will see you on the other side. Well, welcome back. I am pleased to be joined by the legend, the man. It is Freddie. How are you, Freddie?
Hi, Lee. Hi, Halifax. Yeah. Oh, great to be on board. And then thank you for letting me getting me involved. With all this is it's great cause. And yeah, it is an honor to be involved.
Brilliant. Well, we're really pleased to have you here. I know we don't have a huge amount of time today because we've got a packed schedule, and I know you're running around and kindly giving up some time as well. Why don't you take us back to when you first came over to Halifax, for those that don't know? How did that come about? How did you find the town? I assume Halifax is a little different to Samoa.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I was in the Rugby World Cup in '95 in South Africa with Samoa, and after the World Cup, I went back home and I was approached. It was a mate. I'm sure everyone knows. The legendary John Schuster. He was already at the club at the time. '95 season, and he phoned me up and he said, would you be interested to come to Halifax? To be honest, I have no idea where Halifax is, and we had a good chat. I said, well, it could be a good opportunity. Rugby union is still amateur back in the day. Mm-hmm. That was '95, and rugby league, it's professional and all that. I'm saying that it's quite funny because I look at some of the old pictures. In the '91 World Cup, that was held in Wales. Mm-hmm. I came over and for some reason I stayed over. After the World Cup, after we lost, against Scotland in the quarterfinal, yeah. I stayed with an agent in Manchester, and he said, "Oh, you got to come and try for this rugby league team." I have no idea what team it was, and And when I, I didn't, I had a trial game, broke my ankle, and then I had to go back, which is, disappointing, but I guess that's, that's the journey that, we all, took it back at the time. And I remember, it was Bradford. It was Bradford Bulls. That's a stadium, but, the team that I was going to trial for, it was Witness.
Okay, yeah.
So, it was all that, interesting. But anyway, when Shuri said, would you be keen to come to Halifax? I was with Michael Manga, in that 95 team, Samoan team. And he's already, committed to come to Halifax. And I thought, well, it could be a great opportunity. And I have no idea where Halifax is, but I'll have a go. I signed a 3-year contract. It was a very, small contract, very little money, but, I know I can do better. I can, this is where I want to be. I want to progress with my rugby and, and all that. So I thought, I've got to take the chance and, it's not about the money, but it's about taking the opportunity, and whatever happens, I'm here for the long term. And I came, and it was, Halifax in like my second home from Samoa. I had a great time. One of the best memories I had. The fans were great, and when I came, in that 95, end of 95, it was still from Hall, and I remember my first game at home. It was for the A-League game. Is that still A-League? Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, back then.
So the second team, and it was very sunny Saturday afternoon, and I remember I was on a wing, and as we start the game, I saw all the first team players. They are waiting for the bus to to take them to Warrington. They were playing away at Warrington, and we were playing home, with the second team. And my first touch, luckily I scored a try. It was a great memory, and had a great 3 years with the club. Even though I moved to St. Helens, I was still live at opposite the Shea. Yeah. It's sort of like interesting because I didn't play rugby league before, but so all the league stuff that I learned is from Halifax. It was Steve Sims that brought me over, and then when Sims left, John Bernabury took over. So fantastic! It's great memories, and every now and then I travel up to up north and always stay at catch up with Marty Moana and Ned. All Ned and Cov still involved with the club, the legendary of the club. So Hilda, those are the guys that I still Sarah, still have great memories with them, and still doing well for the club.
So we're obviously in a period of lockdown, which is why we're doing these things on Zoom. I think, are you the eldest of, is it 9?
Yeah, it's it's 7 of us, 7 boys, 2 girls, they were young, but both are young, and so for like I had a great memory, and so I always say Halifax is special for me because it opened up the doors for my family, and I think that's why I said that it wasn't about the money that I came in the country and all that. I feel like this could be a great opportunity for for my family and my brothers. I got a big family to get opportunity to come over, and so I first brought over my other brother Alexander Tuilagi back. He came and joined Leicester. When I moved St. Helens, I had 2 great years St. Helens. Was so fortunate to win 2 Super League, championship with Saints. And then, I thought, at the time I went back to Leicester. And, one time, I brought all the family over. One time it was like 5 of us, 6 of us, at Leicester. It was me and my other brother Henry and Alex and then Andy and then Vi, and now Manu is the youngest now, playing for England. So, like I said, Halifax, that gave me that opportunity and gave me, I know this would be great for my family.
Yeah. What impact do you think it had on Manu and the other brothers your experience of coming to Halifax? Does that
I think just lately, I saw some footage of, some of the old game at Halifax, and I showed it to Manu and the boys, and they couldn't believe it. Like, wow, just they were still in Samoa, when I came, and they were still young. Manu, I think he was still, I was still 2 or 3 when I came. So when I showed those footage, and they were like, wow, Halifax, yeah, back in the day, and it's great. And so yeah, kind of like open the door for the boys, give them that opportunity, to came over. And it's hard for me to, when I first came, because there's no one else, apart from Michael Manga and John Schuster, that Asa Mone and Mari Moana, those guys that we got together. And so we such a great team. I still keep in touch with the big Rhino, Harrison and Hallis, and all those boys. We still keep in touch. So when the boys came over, it kind of like easily for them to to get into the environment and get opportunity to play some rugby. And we're there, we're here, with a lot of help and all that. So and like everyone, everyone works hard, to get where they are. I think it's such a blessing that 6 brothers, all play international rugby. 5 of us play for Samoa, and Manu, who was like, because Manu was like named, after the Samoan team when I first made it in 91, because he was born in 91. My dad, my mum thought, okay, I'm going to honor this, name him after the team for me, make him to the side. So yeah, great.
Oh, it's terrific. It's funny, we got Marty on this weekend with Gibbo and a few of the boys, and you can see the camaraderie is still very strong. And Brian Carney was thinking very, because I think Marty's still doing the Sky Sports statistics, and it seemed a really tight period of time.
It was fantastic. I tell you what, we've got Bentos, Bentos left and went and make his name, with the British and Irish, British Lions. We had such a great team. We still keep in touch with, Jackson. We still live in Hull. Now and then he'll mention, "Oh, are you coming up for a drink, bro?" I said, "Oh yeah." So, Gibbo, he came from Leeds at the time. Such a great team. We done well, I think, our second season, we came 3rd or 4th, in the Super League and all that. So that shows how close a team are. And I'm still great mates with all the guys, like you said, like Gibbo and Marty and, so it's great that, we now and then we keep in touch. We have this chat group now, Graham Hallis set it up, everyone, I think we were going to have a get-together dinner, just before the virus, started. So, we're looking forward to get together with everyone.
Good. Well, we're raising funds this weekend for both Halifax Rugby, but also the junior teams of all sports. I know you're involved. I think it's the Matt Hansen Foundation. Do you want to maybe share a little of that with the people watching this weekend?
Yeah, Matt Hampson, one of bright young player, at Leicester, he was with England under 18, under 20. Unfortunately, he broke his neck, when the scrum collapsed, and all the, the 8 players, fell on top of him. I'm heavily involved with foundation, I'm ambassador for foundation. We're not only raising funds now for handball, but for any other, sports people and, or anyone that, got that sort of injury, so really good.
Good. And finally, any messages for the fans? I know they all look forward to hearing from you and think very fondly.
Oh, I always had great, memories with the fans, especially when they, at terrace, like Freddie, and I just like, had a chat with one of, Warrington player, we're friends on Facebook, and he mentioned one time that, every time they came to Halifax, they can hear the fans, singing Freddie's gonna get you. Freddie's gonna get you. Great memories with the fans, and looking forward to to see come over to the Shay and support the team. I've been following the team as well. They done pretty good.
Brilliant. Freddie, thank you so much for giving up some of your weekend to chat to everybody, and wish you all the best and stay safe through the lockdown, and hopefully we'll see you next time you're in Halifax.
Thank you, Lee. I just wish all the best to all the Halifax fans, and stay safe, and hopefully see everyone soon. Thanks, Lee.
Thanks.
Hi, it's Cammy Chris Kamara. I'm hoping that you get all your tickets for the Halifax SOS and fill the virtual Shea Stadium. I'm a big fan of Halifax, especially the Peace Hall, and I'm a regular in Hebden Bridge. It's sad that we can't be all out enjoying the start of the summer, so Halifax SOS is a great project for parents and kids to enjoy during the lockdown. Check out the website and social media and stay safe. Unbelievable.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, and thanks. I'm really pleased to be joined by, well, not somebody from Halifax, or I should say their business is not in Halifax, but they're over in Brighouse. I'm joined by James Howard from Yorkshire Payments. Hi, James.
Hi, Lee. How are you?
Wonderful, thank you.
Good, good.
So, hope you're enjoying the weekend. Obviously, the reason I've had you in is, in terms of sports-wise, obviously the big news in our neighbouring Calderdale partner, or a neighbour in Brighouse, is Brighouse Town, and yeah. You took over, I think, the club recently.
Yeah, it was February last year, so just over a year now. It was ratified in June, as the football seasons tend to officially start on the 1st of June. In terms of pending changes that have happened, so it wasn't officially ratified until then. Officially, the pre-season starts then. So yeah, I took over from Charlie Tully from Andy Thornton's, who are a Ellen-based business, as people will be familiar with the Andy Thornton's product. Fantastic brand, fantastic business. Charlie was the chairman for many years, actually. Done a fantastic job, and he was looking to semi-retire. He's not that old, Charlie, bless him, he'll kill me for saying that, but he was looking to try to step down and just take on lesser work, really, within the football club. And I was a very young, opinionated supporter, sponsor from the sidelines, and he said, well, put your money where your mouth is. So I did, foolishly.
Yeah.
no, not foolishly. Sensibly, yeah. So you know what, it's been a fantastic journey, fantastic whirlwind. I've been a fan of football and broadly sport for many, many years. As you can tell, Lee, I haven't really played so much over the last few years. More of an armchair fan than anything else. But I've been very fortunate. I've been very exposed to sport for a long time during most of my working career. To be perfectly honest, I used to work for Sky Sports and Sky Television in my early 20s. So I was exposed to lots of things and lots of production in my early 20s, which only continued my interest and excitement for the game and for sport generally behind the scenes, more importantly. Lots of fans and lots of followers of sport and football and rugby and cricket, netball, golf, whatever your passion is, are very much fixated on the sport itself and the game, the particular game side of things, which I'll admit happily I'm a big fan of every sport, in particular the game. But there was a real sort of interest from my point in terms of, well, actually, how does that sport function? What's the commercial involvement? How does it run logistically? What are the operations like? What is it like day to day to be involved with that? And that really started from an early age. And obviously my exposure within my own business, Yorkshire Payments, we actually are very lucky to work with a number of professional sports clubs up and down the region and further afield, actually, I must say, into the northeast of the Midlands, and being involved and around those professional clubs, Bradford City, Wakefield Trinity in Super League, Huddersfield Giants, Huddersfield Town, Rochdale, Burnley, Oldham, Sheffield United, Chesterfield, many names. I was sort of exposed to the professional side of what really goes on behind the scenes. And I've got some stories which probably isn't for this conversation here and now. But you know what? It excited me, and obviously being based in Brighouse as a business. I actually live in Halifax, by the way, so I do live in Halifax, but our business is run out of Brighouse. It was only natural and right that my business supported our local football club from a sponsorship point, and that was very critical to our not necessarily a return on investment, because it's very difficult to get a return on investment at that type of level. However, it was just the right thing to do from a community point. And we sponsored and supported the club as best as we could and as much as we could, absolutely. And it's always about what you can afford to do. It was right, James. Okay, your turn. So it's been challenging, and I'll tell you something funny actually, because when I took over the club, we'd just been promoted as a football club into the Northern Premier League. We won the playoffs. We beat Pontefract Collieries 3-0 away. We'd absolutely hammered them. We had a couple of players on loan from Huddersfield Town, which was brilliant in terms of the relationship there. And we've just been promoted, and we fast forward a year on. We've not been promoted under a technicality. We've had a 4-point league deduction, kicked out the FA trophy, and coronavirus has ruined our season, making it null and void. So one fan actually reminded me of that success that so far I've had as a chairman. So yeah, I didn't take offence at that. I just found it quite tongue in cheek, but yeah, that was quite interesting and statistically true actually. So yeah, I'm not doing too bad.
I think the only way is up, and I think it's a perfect pub quiz question, that, isn't it? Yeah, who got promoted and then still didn't go up the league, etc. So
correct.
So going on the juniors, part of the idea of the whole weekend this weekend is to support junior clubs who might find it difficult to find sponsors. And I'm not suggesting everybody contacts Yorkshire Payments, but what we're trying to do is raise some funds so that can go in and hopefully ease the pressure. How do you see the junior leagues around the area being able to feed into Brighouse Town once we get back to the other side and some sort of normality?
Well, I think it's important, really, certainly from families, generally speaking, from the kids' aspects as well as parents. And I think it's good to have that feeder development system anywhere from a progression point. But actually, I think it offers more than that, Lily. I think it's more to do with the community spirit and the fact that, per se, Brighouse Town, it's having that opportunity and for the youngsters that are coming through the junior setups, girls and boys, because we have two sections, the girls and the boys, to feed into the men's and the women's respectively. It's absolutely fantastic for the kids to be part of a bigger club and a bigger community, and we get those kids involved with the match day experiences from a ball boy or a ball girl perspective, from a mascot perspective, and just being part of a bigger plan, really. And it's lovely to see that they do get involved, and it's important because not only does it offer fitness and health benefits, but I think actually socially and from a mental health point, Lee, as well, that's absolutely important for us all to maintain our mental health and well, not so much when you're losing 4-0 on a Saturday afternoon. It might not do your do your cholesterol and your blood pressure any good, but certainly from an interaction and the community involvement, it's important. It's massive, absolutely massive. We're a big advocate of junior development, and I urge any semi-professional, any professional grassroots teams to have or certainly consider that type of setup, because it's valuable.
Good. And I know it's only got a short amount of time today as we whistle through the weekend. We're trying to feature a lot of charities throughout, and again, there's a lot of fundraisers around. A lot of events have been cancelled. A lot of shops, if people had shops, have been closed. I know that Yorkshire Payments has actually worked really hard on developing new solutions for a lot of charities. I think we were talking just before, Andrew, something about a charity box. Can you give us a bit more information? Because I know there'll be a lot of people from clubs, charities, organisations that they're going to have to find new ways of doing things going forward. But if you could spend just a short amount of time on that for us.
Yeah, so we've got involved with an American tech giant who has brought a solution over to the UK, and we've got the exclusivity within the north of England on this particular product. And the idea behind the solution is to replace the conventional donation boxes that rely on physical donations, cash donations, whether it be notes or coins, and turn that into a contactless donation device. So effectively, you will come along, and they can be operated in an unattended environment, so they can be left standstill on in a railway station, or in the middle of the wool shops in Halifax, or wherever, in an unattended environment or an attended environment, fully secure. And you can come along and make a donation on your smartwatch, on your smartphone, or a standard contactless bank card or credit card. So I genuinely believe that's the future. They're fully customizable and branded. You'll actually start to see them roll out in the Peace Hall very soon. Big part of our town here. Huge project that they have for this, to raise funds for the Peace Hall Trust and other organisations. So some other local names I must mention: Overgate Hospice. Huge, offering huge services and great support throughout Calderdale. They've just got involved with us with the contactless giving as well. So yeah, certainly in a roundabout way, I think that the situation that we're finding ourselves in at the minute will possibly accelerate our mindsets and our behaviours from dealing with cash into more sort of digital forms of payments, and we feel we have the solution to try and support that. So
brilliant. Well, I think there'll be some young uns listening who's thinking, cash, what's that?
Yeah.
They've already got these cards. But now, thanks for spending some time with us. I hope you're enjoying the show this weekend, and thanks for your support. And again, guys, obviously, if you're in charities, that's handy to know. We've got a local provider, and obviously a local feeder. If we've got good kids in the junior leagues, maybe they'll play for Brighouse Town, and maybe by that point, James, they'll be in the Premier League or the Championship, or all those things. I'm sure you've got huge aspirations.
You never know. It's just about being realistically, and we urge all people of all ages and all backgrounds to get involved with community sport. It's huge.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks, guys. I hope you're enjoying the weekend too, and I'll pass you on to the team.
Thanks to our very generous sponsors: Chadwick Lawrence, Study Right 11+, Key Stage 3 and GCSE Tuition, Faxtrust, Zenith Independent Wealth Management, Seakirsch and Craggs Business Parks. A warm welcome to Halifax Rugby League's Managing Director, Dave Grayson.
Hey, thanks for joining us again. Hope you're having a great weekend and enjoying the show so far. Obviously, some great acts still to come. I'm joined now by Managing Director Dave Grayson of Halifax Rugby League. Welcome, Dave.
Good afternoon. Are you well?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. What's not to like? All these stars and past players and celebs, and hopefully, raising a bit of cash for junior clubs and the club as well. So, how are you doing? More importantly.
Yeah, fine, thank you. I've been really busy, to be honest with you. Since obviously the lockdown, the club has gone into lockdown as well, and everybody's furloughed except for the media team, and obviously I'm doing my bit. But that brings its own challenges. But we'd got quite a lot of preparation in place before all this happened, so we're just working our way through that plan, and things are going pretty well at the moment.
Yeah, it's got to be a tough situation. I guess the uncertainty around what's happening, because it's not anything any of us can control.
You can only plan to a certain extent, of course, and without going into too much detail, there's probably about 6 or 7 different cash flow versions for the club that have been created at the moment, and who knows which one's going to come to fruition. So lots of work going on with the RFL, and they're in the same conundrum. So it's a tough time, but I'm sure we'll get through it.
Good. And I want to say thank you for the support for the event, even though this is a fundraiser that Halifax are involved in. It's also supporting junior clubs, whatever sport in Halifax. And I know you were really the first to kind of jump in and say, yeah, we want to get behind this. We want a strong Halifax, we want a strong junior setup of cricket, of football, of rugby, both codes. So thanks. What was it about the fundraiser that you thought, yeah, we should get behind this?
I think it's a concept, really. It's not just specifically for Halifax Rugby League, and I think whilst that's important, and certainly in the role that I've got, very important, it's very much important for the youth as well. And, you know, obviously, believe it or not, I was a young lad back in the day, and part of my education and upbringing and values was created from playing sport and being involved in sport, and also coaching. So I've seen both sides of that, and it is vital for a person's development. And at the moment, it's difficult for the junior clubs out there. You know, obviously, they can't do anything, they can't raise any funds, and, you know, children can't play. So we need to get, obviously, something in place so that when we do come out of it, that they're ready to go, and obviously got some funding to do that. So very important.
Yeah. And obviously, people now know you as Rugby League, but of course, you've been heavily involved in the other code within Halifax.
I've got to be careful who I say that to in rugby league and rugby union circles, because it tends to have a different reaction, but that is the case. So historically for me, I'm a local Halifax lad, actually, a Boothtown lad, and went to Heath Grammar, and then joined Heath Old Boys as was then, associated with the club, you know, since then. So that's, I'd like to say, 30 odd years now. I did go through the sort of playing structure down there, coaching structure, committee structure, administration structure, and for a short while, chairman as well. So learnt a lot during that time from, you know, how to run a sports club. And the club itself has gone on to bigger and better things since I left, which is great to see. Done a bit of coaching as well for a team outside of Halifax, but again, they were very grateful for that, and great set of lads, and that team spirit that I mentioned earlier is vital. So done that. Also coached at football as well when my son was a nipper. Did coaching for North Aram. So I've sort of touched a lot of areas in terms of sport. And like I said earlier, it's very important. But at the moment, key one for me is Halifax Rugby League, of course. And, you know, I watched my first game in 1967 as a young lad, and I've been going ever since. So I've just obviously worked my way through, being a fan. Joined the Supporters Trust Board a while back. Did quite a lot of work with the Halifax Rugby League Foundation. I was asked to go on there by Mark Moore when he was chairman at the time. Did 2 years. I've worked on the board side, which I feel very privileged to do that. And it's vital that 147 years history continues, and certainly on my shift, definitely.
I was looking this week, I think was the anniversary of the record crowd. I think 102,000, some say 104,500 at Halifax playing at Odsal. What turnout that would be if we could attract 100,000 people into a stadium in Halifax in the future.
Well, it'd be fantastic, but I think we're a long way off that at the moment. But we can but dream.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean that crowd in 1954, the unofficial attendance was probably more like 110, 120,000, I believe. So you would have just been in a fantastic experience, a lifetime experience. And I'd love to have that down at this year.
Good. And back to rugby league, I know it's uncertain. You know, what are your hopes for the rest of the season? I know you don't have any specific answers to give or any crystal ball. What would you like to see happen, or a message to the fans about how we're, you know, approaching the end of this season?
Well,
say end of this season. Sorry,
yeah.
Interrupt. I'm saying end of the season. We've only just started. Yeah.
I think the number one priority for me, to be honest with you, is around people understanding that the absolute priority is people's welfare, both fans and players. You know, we all want to get the guys back playing. They want to get back playing. You know, they're chomping at the bit, as I'm sure other clubs' players has. But the number one priority as custodians for our club and the Rugby Football League have for the game is to make sure that that's done in a safe environment. The message to the fans is, A, thank you for your support at the moment that you're doing with us. We really appreciate that. And B, going forward is stick with us. You know, obviously once we get to where we need to get to, I'm sure we can't all wait for the first game of the season again, effectively, and watching the blue and white coming out on the field and getting behind the guys and hopefully picking up where we left off. Brilliant.
Well, thank you. I hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend, and thanks for taking time out to to join us and give that message, and hopefully you'll be able to stick around and watch a couple of the acts that we've got coming up. So thank you. Remember, if you want to find out more information about what's happening at the club, Halifax Rugby League's website is the place to go. I think they're also going to be having this season, whilst we're still in lockdown, some virtual pints and pies and things that may or may not be live right now, but it's worth going to check out in their shop. But thanks. Let's hand you over to the next team. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I want to talk to you just about the funds. So the funds that we're raising here from tickets and sponsorships are going directly to junior clubs via grants programs. And people can apply for that and tell us what they want it for, whether it's kit or equipment. And that's going to be managed by the Community Foundation for Calderdale. You can check those out at cffc.co.uk. The other half's going to go to the Halifax Rugby League Club. All the money is going to go straight to the Community Foundation. And they're going to split it in half, give half to the rugby club, and then they're going to proceed with the grants programme from there. My appeal to you right now is, I know you've been incredibly generous in buying a ticket. Hopefully, if you're watching this, it means you bought a ticket. If not, go back and buy one, please. ticketsource.co.uk/Halifax SOS. But assuming you paid for a ticket, thank you. If you have any more spare, if you feel like you've had good value this weekend and you may want to see a bit more of the show, that's totally okay. Then we are still accepting donations. So whether that's one-off lump sums, whether it's £5, £10, it doesn't really matter. We really appreciate anything you give. The idea is that the more that comes in, the easier we can make life for these junior sports clubs, essentially. So obviously what we're going to do is take applications in. We already have nearly 30, so you can imagine if we wanted to give everybody £1,000, then that would be £30,000 we would need to raise. And I have to say, we're not near those numbers. Again, if it's 500, that's 15, if it's 250, but we want to make a real difference, and that's where, again, I'm hoping that your generosity can extend. Some people may be watching this after the event, so if so, we've set up a page called snowflakemedia.co.uk/SOS donate, all one word, SOS DONATE, and that's going to show you at that time, whether it's today or in the future when you come back, exactly how you can donate. There's a few ways simply. You could go and buy some more tickets if you wanted. Yes, you've already bought tickets, but if you wanted to go buy another 1, 2, 5, 10, whatever, that would be appreciated. That's number one way. Number two is you can get in touch with us via social media and say, hey, I don't want to put it through that way. Can I send the money directly to the Community Foundation? And one of the team will help you and they will say, great, here is how you can get that money across. Obviously, you can support the club directly by going and using their virtual bar as well. Or maybe you might want to send a cheque. You know, I know that people watching, some will still be paying by cheque. So again, just get in touch with us. You can either email us at halifaxsos@snowflakemedia.co.uk. That's halifaxsos@snowflakemedia.co.uk. You can text us on the social media, you know, messaging through Facebook and Twitter. Either of those two things is okay. Snowflake Media do not take any money directly. We don't want to take any cash directly. It will all go out, but the staff here, the team here will help you and direct you in the best way possible. Hopefully, again, the more we can do. The other thing you can do is you can share with your friends. If you've enjoyed some of the programs, if you enjoy the idea of looking at, we've only really promoted this via some emails and some social media, and not everybody's on social media and not everybody sees everything on social media. So maybe don't make an assumption that people have seen it. We've got some great programs still to come. To WhatsApp people, message them, maybe pick up the phone and just encourage those guys to get their own ticket as well. So I want to thank you for being part of the show. I want to thank you for everything you've done before already, and hopefully we'll be able to raise a little bit more cash just for these junior clubs to take the pressure off them, their parents, and the thankless volunteers, people running these clubs. You know, I think we owe a huge amount of gratitude to those guys as well. So dig deep. It's all local. Everything is still local. There's no management fees. There's none of this. You know, every penny we get from the credit card company when that comes out, and Ticket Source, all goes to Community Foundation. So with that, I'll leave you. I'll let you enjoy coming back to the show. We've got some really great stuff coming up, and I'll see you again regularly throughout the weekend.
Next up, ITV's Gaynor Barnes spent some time with Hannah Cockroft and Lizzie Jones.
Girls, Lizzie and Hannah, it's so lovely to see you both. Are you both okay?
Yeah, just about.
Doing fine. I'm just enjoying time at home. I've never been at home for this long in about 12 years.
Yeah, it must be really nice. I'm it must be so nice to just have to look after yourself and Nathan. And not have to worry about the school stuff.
Yeah.
So ask Lizzie, how is the homeschooling going?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't call it homeschooling. I would like to take that away from the teachers that they normally go and see. It's trying to keep the learning going, which they're doing really, really well. Phoebe's amazing. She would sit and learn for 24 hours a day, and Phoebe has got the attention span of a gnat. Bobby's got the attention span of a gnat, and just wants to go on the iPad for 12 hours a day. If I let him, he would actually sit on that for 12 hours a day. So I'm trying to block all the bad things and just put like learning apps on and things, because they learn differently, don't they? But it's challenging. But yeah, I'm enjoying the days where I'm not doing the teaching, put it that way.
I can understand that. So Hannah, how are things with you? I mean, are you able, I know we're not allowed to go out, but are you still able to train?
Yeah, so my training hasn't actually really changed that much. I'm still training 6 days a week, still doing 6 chair sessions a week, 2 gym sessions a week. My chair sessions are variations of what I would be doing on the track, so a lot of sprint work right now. And I've managed to get little bits of gym stuff, so I've got like a couple of dumbbells and a pull-up bar, and I'm just making it work really. But you know what, it's like I said, it's just nice to actually be at home. Normally this time of year I'm in Switzerland this month, and then I think next month I was planning to be in Poland, and then obviously off to Tokyo. So it's been a massive change, but I've actually quite enjoyed being in my house.
And the weather's been so great, which certainly helps, doesn't it?
Oh, massively, you know, I think it's helped everyone get out and use their 1 hour of exercise. I know I'm trying to use the local roads as much as I can in that hour just to get a bit of outside pushing in. And the roads are so quiet, you know, normally I can't go out and just push up and down them, but they're absolutely dead. So it's actually great for my hill training. Can
I just ask, having the Paralympics, everything cancelled, everything on hold, does that change your perspective and your training schedule?
So my training schedule hasn't changed that much, mostly because we're in a really weird situation where we don't actually know what we're training for right now. You know, we don't know if we're going to compete this year at all. Potentially at the moment, my season might start in September, so I still have to be ready for that. But that might also not happen. So we're training as if it hopefully will at the moment. And then every time we get a new update of you know, this race is cancelled or this meet might go ahead, then we change it accordingly. But the biggest challenge has just been mentally, you know, this is the biggest year for any athlete. This is the year that we build up for 4 years. So I kind of came into this in January. I went out to Australia for 2 months nearly, and you know, was training really, really well, getting the miles in, pushing really well, and then obviously came back in great shape, and everything's kind of just disappeared. And in your head you're like, oh well, is there any point in carrying on? You know, what am I training for this year? Should I just have a year off? Because some athletes are doing that, you know, they've just gone up. I can't train, I'm not going to train. But, you know, I've got nothing better to do, to be totally honest. So I'm just carrying on and hoping that next year it'll kind of make me that little bit quicker, and trying to put it in that positive mindset of, you know what, this is extra time to be fitter, to be quicker, to make sure that next year's Paralympic Games are going to be the best that anyone's ever seen.
Lizzie, obviously this coronavirus has affected absolutely everything in life. I mean, you with the foundation, with Danny's foundation, is that all on hold, or are you still raising funds? Are you still keeping awareness out there?
Yeah, pretty much everything that I do has been on hold since a week before we actually went into lockdown. There's been some like major sporting events that I was due to perform at, and yeah, they've all had to stop, and with very, very good reason. And the charity stuff, the ball is booked for September, but obviously with everybody's plans over the summer are all being pushed back, so that's a bit of a worrying time as well, as to sort of our main event that might have to be postponed or pushed back even further. So it's just all a bit up in the air really as to what's going to happen. But as much as possible, people are still you know, the 2.6 challenge. I don't know if you've seen a lot
Yes,
of that.
yeah.
I've been busy running, because like Hannah said, it's mental health that's the key in all this. I really worry about people's mental health through this and the effect that it's going to have long term on the mental health service. I really hope the government think about that and really plough some money into getting some help into that. But yeah, I've been doing the 2.6 challenge for the RFL Benevolent Fund and the DJ Fund, trying to get at least 26 miles in a week if I can with the running. Yeah, which I'm absolutely loving. I stopped running for quite a while, but with being able to get out, like Hannah says, on the streets, and there's nobody driving. Well, there's very little drivers on the road, so it's just heavenly. I've been out this morning and done a 10k and just tried to enjoy the scenery and the beautiful area of Yorkshire that I live in. But yeah, things are still going along with the charity. People are still raising money and doing as much as they can. But every charity is struggling, and every charity is being affected massively. And marathons cancelled and events cancelled, and it's a scary time, isn't it? But you just have to do what you can do and just hope that it's not as affected as much as we think it's going to be.
Well, out of all this nonsense and something good has come out of it, the fact that people are connecting. I don't think any of us have spent so much time on Zoom calls, FaceTime, etc. I mean, I know the three of us all know one another, but yourself and Hannah, you're both very good friends. In fact, I think Hannah is patron of the charity, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. Very, very proud patron of the DJ Fund and a very good friend. We just seem to be at the same events, don't we, Han? We like literally turn up and we're like, hey!
Quite nice though. It's quite nice to always have a face that you know and to support the same things. You know, we're both really proud Yorkshire girls, really proud Halifax girls. So just to be able to bounce off each other, I think, and discuss ideas and you know, try and raise awareness or raise money or whatever it might be that we're trying to do. We've got each other there to support each other, so it's quite nice.
Hannah, how did you actually get together? How did you meet one another? Or
where did we meet, Lizzie?
I'm literally just trying to think then, actually. Oh, I was singing at the Halifax RLFC, actually, for the Calderdale, what was the event? I can't remember what it was called. It was an anniversary or something. And you were there with Ian, our manager back then.
Right.
Yeah, I actually then became...
Lizzie, your sound's gone.
Oh, have we lost Lizzie? Can you hear
every event together?
She's back.
Lizzie, you're on mute.
Became such a big supporter of the DJ Fund. She'd come into the ball. She's been to the ball every year with her lovely mum. And yeah, we went from there and then became ambassadors of the Yorkshire Ambulance Service, so Restart a Heart.
Right.
So we do that together as well.
Mm-hmm.
So again, another event that's going to be massively affected by what's going on now, and you know, hundreds of thousands of kids have been trained in CPR, so we need to try and keep that going this year if we can, by online, by somehow, I don't think we'll be able to do a massive Zoom CPR conference, but you know, somehow trying to keep that message out there, because you know, I can't remember the exact percentage, but it's a very, very high percentage of cardiac arrest happen in the home. So, and I know from having a close friend working at the Calderdale Royal that last week they were inundated with patients that hadn't come to hospital because they were told not to, and have ended up having heart attacks and strokes and awful things because they've been told to stay away. And you know, people aren't as trained at home, people aren't as confident with the CPR, people might not know where the local defib is. So I guess a big thing for us is to try and get that out and keep pushing that so people are aware. And if they need anything, they need any training, we can do that online. We can help anybody that wants it.
Lizzie, you mentioned how important, obviously, I mean, our physical health is, but also mental health as well, our mental health. Hannah, if I can ask you, how do you, because obviously with, you know, so many events cancelled, as we mentioned, the marathon, every sporting event has been cancelled. How do you inspire and keep going young people who still want to achieve, and exercise and just getting out there is so important, we've been told time and time again, for everyone's mental health?
So I've been approached a lot at the moment just to send little video messages so that teachers can use them to send to their pupils to encourage them to stay positive in this time. I've been putting together a home workout, so I've got one coming out shortly that's an accessible one so people can do it sat down, and also using things that they can find around the house. So, whether it's jogging on a spot or using some tins of soup to do some weights. Whatever it is, it's about making things accessible. But really, it's using a social media presence, using whatever presence you have, really, to just encourage people to use that hour that you have to go outside. We've got absolutely amazing weather. Use it, go and enjoy it, and just communicate with people. You said all this technology that we've suddenly found, Zoom and House Party. I don't think I've ever spoken to so many people in. I'm like, I always got some kind of call going on, and it's absolutely amazing. The people that I've managed to reconnect with that, not that I don't usually have time for, but usually it's like, oh, well, I'm here this day and then you're working that day and we just never have time to meet up. And suddenly it's like, well, we're both at home, let's have a chat. It's encouraging people to just do that. Don't pick up your phone and send a text. Pick up your phone and make a call, because actually that could make someone's day, especially an older person, a person who's in isolation on their own. Think about those people that they touch. So yeah, it's about using what's around us, and it's about being a community at the moment. I think it's about just thinking of everyone. And I know me and my boyfriend, we live close to his grandparents, so anytime that we haven't been able to get an online shopping slot like so many people, every time we've had to go to the supermarket, it's just ringing those people and just saying, do you need something? I'm here. We can drop it on your doorstep. Just think of others, even if they're your next door neighbour.
And Lizzie, how are you inspiring all those wonderful singers out there? Are you still keeping, because again, that's music is therapy.
Yeah, absolutely is. I did a concert from the kitchen a couple of weeks ago, and there was over 25,000 tuned in and watched the concert, and I've watched it since. It's still on my Facebook page if anybody wants to watch it. But yeah, I just kept getting a lot of messages about entertaining, and are you going to do a concert? And quite a few people had done some live singing online on Facebook Live. So I've been singing on a Thursday evening. I sang this Thursday for Captain Tom for his 100th birthday, and clapped the NHS, and then sang We'll Meet Again after. So again, that's on my Facebook as well. So I was asked by my local community, the group that run our Facebook page and things, would you sing and would you get the speakers outside? And so the whole village could hear, and they all kind of walked round to my street and were joining in and listening, and brought the kids round, and my two were running amok in front. You'll see on the video screaming and distracting everybody. But it's lovely, and they even sort of, are we clapping tonight, Mommy? And it's magical. And I'm still managing to teach some pupils online as well, because obviously I teach singing as well. And a lot of parents have sort of said, they didn't sort of ask me, and I've asked them, if you're interested, it's available. And a lot of parents have sort of said, gosh, you don't know how much they need this, and a bit of structure still there. They used to come in once a week to me, and they're not being able to do that. But it's so good being able to do this and still talk to my pupils, and talk to friends, and talk to people that need it, because there's a lot of people that are isolating alone, and I whinge. I'm not whinging about the kids, but it is hard. But I can't imagine not having them to keep me busy and keep me distracted and drive me mental, because it makes the day go quicker. It really does. And I think I put something on it a few days ago, like, it must be so nice, my friends that are just looking after themselves. And one of my friends messaged back saying, oh, Lizzie, it's so lonely. And it broke my heart, and I genuinely hadn't thought about it like that. I just thought, wow, it must be so relaxing just looking after yourself and being able to watch a series on Netflix without being interrupted. But you know what? It's I wouldn't have it any other way. It's I can't imagine how lonely it is for people, and how desperate they are for that hour of exercise and to get out and clear the head, and even talk to somebody from a distance. Must be great for them, because I just can't imagine how lonely some people must be.
I think one thing, none of us tend to know what day of the week it is at the moment.
If it wasn't for this watch, I wouldn't have a clue what day of the week it is, or the day. I'm not using a diary, which I normally live by.
Who needs
I'm literally setting alarms to make sure I'm getting on the Zoom calls. Like Hannah says, I'm on a quiz. like I think Saturday night we had 3 Zoom quizzes. We got to bed at about 3 a.m. But they're brilliant. They're brilliant.
Yeah, I think how clever we're all going to be when all this is over. Of course, this weekend is a very important weekend because we've got VE Day on Friday when we'll meet again. Such a poignant song for this particular 75 years since victory in Europe. And of course, a bank holiday weekend for us, which has been slightly moved to celebrate the occasion. So, Hannah, have you got any plans? Are you staying out or staying in?
Oh, I'll be staying in. I'll still be training. I don't get a bank holiday as an athlete. I'm not playing. I've got nothing else to do. But yeah, I think we're gonna put some flags up outside the house and probably have a little bit of picnic in the sunshine. But you know, I think it is important for everyone to remember that we are still in lockdown. So please stay in. Please stay safe. Please save our NHS. Please just be sensible because it is a bank holiday. I know it's so tempting to want to go visit your family and go to the seaside and do all those lovely things, but we're so close and there's no point in wasting all the hard work we've done. So let's just stay in and celebrate with whoever you've got around you.
And I'm sure, Lizzie, you reiterate those thoughts of Hannah's.
Absolutely. I've been out for the last couple of days we try and go out in twos and take the kids out separately, but the streets are definitely getting a little bit busier. And as lovely as that is, and then the stats are coming down and things, and the saying the Prime Minister said we flattened the curve, it is very scary that people, you know, even myself, I've done things and I've thought, oh, I've forgotten, you know, I've got a bit closer to someone, or I've, you know, basically just sort of relaxed it myself. And it is quite scary thinking, gosh, is everybody thinking the same? And then all this work that we've done and all this time that we've spent indoors and worked super hard, you know, we don't want another outbreak, desperately not. And I know there's a couple of other countries struggling with that, so it is quite scary, but I think it's just so important to just carry on with what we're doing. It's working. Whatever we're doing is working, so let's stick with it, stay in, stay safe, and just a little bit longer, hopefully.
Well, Lizzie and Hannah, thank you so much for speaking to me and to everyone who's listening and hearing you today, inspiring them as always. Stay safe, keep well, look after those lovely families of yours, and we'll certainly see you the other side. Take care and thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to our very generous sponsors, Chadwick Lawrence, Study Right 11 Plus, Key Stage 3 and GCSE Tuition, Faxtrust, Zenith Independent Wealth Management, Seakirsch and Craggs Business Parks. For you musical fans, here's Halifax's very own Alfie Bow, Simon Greenhill.
Hello everyone, how are we doing? Welcome to my little spot on Halifax SOS. So my name's Simon Greenhill. Hopefully some of you do remember me. I'm originally from Halifax. As you can see, I'm a massive Halifax Rugby League fan, and I'm really privileged to offer a little bit of support this afternoon to something that's magnificent. So yeah, I moved out of Halifax, moved down to London and pursued my career as an actor and a singer working in the West End, and I currently have a corporate entertainment company. So I thought I'd sing a couple of songs from a couple of musicals. Hopefully you'll recognise them both. And yeah, sit back and enjoy. So here we go. Here's the first one. It's a bit of a long introduction, so bear with me. Some enchanted evening, you may see a stranger, you may see a stranger across a crowded room, and somehow you know even then, that somewhere you'll see her again and again. Some enchanted evening, someone may be laughing, you a crowded room, and night after night, as strange as it seems, the sound of her laughter will sing in your dreams. Who can explain it? Who can tell you why? Fools give you reasons, wise men never try. Some enchanted evening, when you find your true love, when you feel her call you across a crowded room, then fly to her side and make her your own, or all through your life you may dream all alone. Once you have found her, never let her go. Once you have found her, never let her go. There we go, that one's from South Pacific. And this one is Stars from Les Miserables. So hopefully you all know this one. Enjoy. There, out in the darkness, a fugitive running, fallen from God, fallen from grace. God be my witness, I never shall yield till we come face to face, till we come face to face. He knows his way in the dark, mine is the way of the Lord. Those who follow the path of the righteous shall have their reward. And if they fall as Lucifer fell, the flames, the sword, stars in your multitudes, scarce to be counted, filling the darkness with order and light. You are the sentinels, silent and sure, keeping watch in the night, keeping watch in the night. You know your place in the sky, you hold your course and your aim, and each in your season returns and returns, and is always the same. And if you fall as Lucifer fell, you fall in flame. And so it must be, and so it is written on the doorway to paradise, that those who falter and those who fall must pay the price. Lord, let me find him, that I may see him safe behind bars. I will never rest till then. This I swear the stars! Yes, Halifax, come on!
Good afternoon, Halifax SOS. Logan here from Unmasked Mental Health. Just wanted to pop on and tell you a bit about what we do and what's changed since lockdown has happened. So Unmasked Mental Health developed UK's first free peer-to-peer support app for anyone living with, going through any difficult times with mental health. We also provide peer-to-peer support groups for women and men 16 plus up and down the country. Now, majority of our groups are actually based here in Calderdale in Halifax. But since lockdown has happened, the app, nothing's changed, but the hubs, we've had to take them online. We still run them every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Again, it's for women and men, it's for absolutely anyone to come and vent about problems, life struggles, or they want to just sit and listen and maybe listen to something that we've been through. It's usually run by myself and Doug Dennison, and we usually have a guest of the week on as well. If anyone wants to join, please do join. But I think Halifax SOS is an absolutely fantastic cause. I've been in the amateur rugby league game for a long time now. I grew up playing rugby, and I know how much having a team and having a sport helped me through my childhood. So I think it's an absolutely fantastic thing that they're doing there, and I'm excited to see it on the day. Take care, everyone.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that first part of the show. Certainly, there's lots more to come this afternoon. Now, one of the questions I keep getting asked, certainly all through this week and probably for the last few weeks, is in regards to the rugby club, which is what can we do to help the rugby club? Obviously, there's no gate receipts, there's no there's no sponsorships, there's no TV, all that sort of thing. And it's not a begging bowl, it's not crying about it. The team, I think, are doing an incredible job down there, and everybody's very cooperative. So, but what we can do is, obviously, you're helping people today with buying your ticket. What you can also do is they've just launched, thanks to the team down at Halifax Rugby League, so I think it's Halifax RLFC.co.uk, they've just launched a virtual bar and a virtual cafe, so you can actually go along and you can support the club directly by buying a pint or a soft drink or a bag of chips or a corporate dining. Yes, you don't get anything for it other than a warm, fuzzy feeling, but again, that's one way you can go. So go check out the website, enjoy the next part of the show, and you just show your support for the club. If you want to help out down at Halifax Rugby League, that's just one way whilst we're waiting for things to go to the other side. So I'm going to go head over there now, and I'll see you a little bit later on in the show.
He's Halifax born and bred and very well known, Darran Jackson.
What's one for money, two for show. 3 years in now, don't got going on. Step on my boots with shoes. You don't do anything, they are them boots with shoes. You knock me down, step on my face. Send my name all over the place. Do anything you wanna do. Well, I'll stay up them shoes and don't you stay on my boots with shoes. You don't do anything, they are them boots with shoes. Well, you can burn my house, steal my car, drink my liquor from an old food jar. Do anything you wanna do. Well, I'll stay up them shoes and don't you stay on my boots with you. You don't do anything, stay up them boots with you. You don't do anything, up them boots with you. Shoes. Tucking in my sleep at night, making myself crazy. Out of my mind, out of my mind. Rolling down and read it out, hoping it would save me. Too many times, my love. She makes me feel like nobody else. Nobody else but my love. She doesn't love me, so I tell myself, one to pick up the phone. You know she's gonna call, she's jogging along too. Don't let her in, have to kick her out again. Don't be a friend, don't you gonna wake up in the bed in the morning. If you wanna, you ain't getting older. I got new rules I count them. I've got a talent to myself. I've got new rules I count them. I've got a talent to myself. To myself. One to pick up the phone and she's gonna call. She's jogging along too. Don't let her in, have to kick her out again. Don't be a friend, don't you gonna wake up in the bed in the morning. If you wanna, you ain't getting older. You say we've got nothing in common, no common ground to stop from. We're falling apart. You say the world has come between us, our lives have come between us. I know you just don't care. And I said, what about breakfast at Tiffany? She said, I think I remember the film, and yes, I recall, I think we both kinda liked it. And I said, wow, that's one thing you got.
Hey, welcome back. Lee Kenny here from Snowflake Media in my very, very, very white t-shirt. Hopefully I've caught everybody's attention just there. So we have a competition, time to win. So what we are going to give at the moment is, if you are involved in junior football, if you're involved in football, very kindly we've been donated 30 footballs. So 30 footballs. They do need inflating, I will warn you that. So what we want to do is we want to give away 5 lots of 6 balls to junior football clubs. So all you have to do to enter is send a text message just saying balls, BALLS, to 07418 310 013. Just tell us the name of the club and the team if there's a different level. You can also tweet us at Halifax SOS using the hashtag Halifax SOS, and then another one, hashtag balls, BALLS. And what we'll do is we will pick out at random and announce that who's won those. So hope you're having a good time and enjoying the show. We have a second competition. So the balls one, that's for the junior clubs. Very kindly, Penky from the rugby club has agreed to donate a shirt, so a signed shirt that he will deliver in person. So this is a great competition for you Halifax Rugby League fans, or people who want some of that memorabilia, or just to say hello to the guy. You know, obviously he's very, very well thought of around the club, a legend at the club, and again, off his own back, reached out to the club and said, what can I do? I think he tweeted and direct messages said, listen, I want to help, I want to get involved. So with this one, what we want you to do is we want you to donate. So go to snowflakemedia.co.uk/SOS donate and pick one of those methods. It may either be a ticket, it may be a donation, it may be anything like that. But what we're going to do is, it doesn't matter how much your donation is, whether it's £5, £10, £20, it doesn't matter. It's not an auction as such, who wins, you know, has got the deepest pockets. We want this to be available for almost anybody. So once you've done that, just send us an email at halifaxsos@snowflakemedia.co.uk and we will go ahead and we will pick a winner. If you are watching this after the 11th of May, do not enter, please. Do not enter. This will have been drawn on the weekend, the live weekend of the event of the 9th and the 10th. So please go ahead, enter the competition, dig deep, be generous. That would be wonderful. And again, look out, if you haven't seen it already, for the competition we got for a Gary Mercer shirt. So I think that's going to come up for auction very, very shortly. In fact, why don't we do that now as well? Let's do that at the same time. And again, the less time you have listening to me and the more hearing from your rugby league stars and sporting greats and local companies, the better. So with Gary Mercer, he has a signed shirt from back in the day, which we're really pleased to have you, when you watch the show with Gibbo and Gary Mercer, you'll see he held up a shirt in there. He is willing to auction that off. So this is going to be a highest bidder wins. Okay, all you have to do is you can either tweet us your bid, you can send it as a message on Facebook private to the Halifax SOS group, or you can email halifaxsos@snowflakemedia.co.uk. So 3 competitions. Got the balls for the junior club. We've got Penke's top, just any sort of donation is fine. And then an auction for Gary Mercer's shirt. So again, get involved. This is all part of the fun. Lots and lots of great things happening this weekend. We're getting so many messages of support. Just really, really appreciate it. And again, sit back, relax, enjoy the show.
Hi there everybody, I hope you're having an amazing weekend. I'm David, I work for Calderdale in Sports Development. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for taking part in an amazing weekend and raising valuable funds for Halifax Rugby League and the voluntary and community sports clubs in Calderdale. At Calderdale we appreciate the value of sports clubs to the fabric of our communities, and at the moment we've got 2 clear priorities. Priority 1 is supporting clubs now, and priority 2 is to support clubs as we come out of COVID-19, whatever that may look like. So immediately now we've got a dedicated web page on our website, which is active.calderdale.gov.uk. That's got lots of information on guidance on how to get funding to your clubs, such as the business rate grant scheme, which we're administering. We've got over £500,000 out to clubs through that central government scheme for eligible rate playing clubs. They can get grants of up to £10,000 or £25,000. We're also supporting clubs to apply for the Sport England Community Emergency Fund, which are grants for up to £10,000 to help pay the bills that can't otherwise be covered. We're also looking at supporting clubs to shift some of their sessions online if that's what they want to do, as well as links out to lots of free training opportunities that are available at the moment. Coming out of COVID-19, we've invested in an activity finder, which is going to be free for all Calderdale clubs to get their clubs and their sessions on there to promote, to try and attract new people to the clubs when things are allowed to be open again. And we're also looking at more training opportunities, club development evenings, online sessions. So we're looking at all that type of stuff. So my message to you is, if you're a club, get on the website, join our database, email us, Facebook us, tweet us, let us know, join into the conversation about how you're going if you've got any other questions. And for everybody else, just please continue to support your local sport as you're doing now this weekend. Get down to the Share when we're allowed, support Halifax Rugby League and FC Halifax Town, but also get down to your local community amateur sports club and when they're open again. So thank you and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Hello, and thank you to everyone who's taking part in today's event to show your support for sport in Calderdale. For the last few weeks, everything the council has been doing has been focused on what needs to happen to protect local people and help our communities thrive through this crisis. I'm not going to talk about that now, but if you want to know more, or if you're looking for help and advice, then please visit the COVID-19 pages on the council website, where you can get a lot more information. As the leader of Calderdale Council, I do want to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to everyone in our community who are doing so much to keep us safe during these difficult times. We've all watched with admiration the hard work and courage of those of you who are working for the NHS and in our care services. You've gone above and beyond as you've carried on caring for the vulnerable and those who are ill, despite sometimes the very obvious personal risks. But thank you also to all the unsung heroes who have kept vital services going during this time. From supermarket workers to delivery drivers, from people working in the utilities to our waste and recycling teams, you're all playing a vital part in helping the rest of us to stay home, stay safe and protect the NHS and our care services. And also, I thank you to all of you for following that advice. I guess like me, sometimes you found it a bit tough and sometimes it's just been a bit boring. But the death toll from the virus has been tragic enough, and my heart goes out to anyone who's lost family or friends at this time. But if most of us had not followed the advice, it could have been so much worse. So thank you, everyone. And just finally, a big thank you to the organisers of today's events and to everyone who's taking part and listening in. Our sports clubs, big and small, make such an important difference to so many people, whether we're active participants or just keen supporters. So thank you for your support today, and let's hope it's not too long before it's possible for more of us to take part, to watch and enjoy our favourite sports once again.
Thanks to our very generous sponsors, Chadwick Lawrence, Study Right 11 Plus, Key Stage 3 and GCSE Tuition, Faxtrust, Zenith Independent Wealth Management, Seakirsch and Craggs Business Parks. Going lockdown stir crazy, next up is Pete Emmett.
Hi everybody, thanks for joining us on the Halifax SOS. I thought I'd start off my video just by being somewhere that means a lot to me, because I spent most of my childhood here playing out. That's all across this club, and the fields there behind us brings back a lot of memories, but that's what life's all about, isn't it? Memories. And junior sports has been something that's been very close to my heart. Like I say, I moved on from playing football for Crosses as a kid and ended up playing for Illingworth at rugby league. I weren't probably the best ever player, but I loved it. My love for rugby league probably began up at this club, and we used to go up to Thrum Hall, me and my dad. We moved from Ovendon to Illingworth probably in the late 70s, and we used to walk from Illingworth. But when I say we moved, I know my mum and dad did quite well. We ended up moving, we just pushed caravan a little bit further uphill, and we used to walk, me and my dad, my younger brother, up to Thrum Hall. And I used to watch them and I absolutely loved it, seeing the players in the blue and white. It brings back memories just talking about it now. And I dreamt as a kid, wouldn't it be great to play for my hometown club? And it never really happened for me. I moved into open age, I weren't the greatest of players. I'd probably say the best thing that happened to me was trials. I got trials when I was 19 in Leeds and Bradford. And I did very well back then. At the end of the day, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I got off on a technicality on both occasions, something which I'm very proud of. And a lot of people from where I'm from did have a lot of trials, but it wasn't to be. I did get to play at Thrum Hall once against Halifax A team for Illingworth. And Das St Hilaire, who used to go to school with the winger, the flying winger, he scored a cracking try. And I've got a scar on my head there, and I'm very proud of that scar. Every time I see it, I think he's trying to tackle Daz, and I didn't really bother. He just ran past me, so I applauded him, and I fell on advertising audience as I was clapping him in. But the good memories and something I'm very proud of as well. When I think about my career, I know my great friend Lee Roberts, he went on to represent Halifax, and I used to go watch him. I'm dead proud of him as well. It was amazing. But my career memories, they're not that brilliant. Probably the one that sticks out for me playing for Illingworth, I played a team called Deaton Woolpack over in Huddersfield. There were 8 rough lads as well. And we got over there. We knew we were going to get a right good hiding as well. And we were in dressing rooms, and referee came in and he said, "Sorry lads, I don't think this game's going to go ahead today." Well, if I'm being honest, I was dead chuffed. And our coach, Steve Anderson, what's the problem? He said, "There's a burnt out car on pitch from last night." And I think all credit to them Dayton Woolpack players. They went out and they pushed that burnt out car off the pitch so the game could go ahead. When we're losing about 84-0 at half time, we actually tried to push that car back onto the pitch so the game would get abandoned, but it never happened. So not great memories really, but it's hard talking about my own career because my career came to a tragic and rather abrupt end at the tender age of just 19 years old, when the coach of Illingworth Rugby Club, he just never picked me again. So that was my game over. But I loved it. I loved going to watch Halifax. And I've got a few memories of going to watch Halifax Town as well. I was there when they beat Man City in the FA Cup, Joe Corrigan's Man City. What an amazing memory that was as well. And my dad let us bunk off school to go and get tickets. this is how thick I am. I went down to Shea and actually bought tickets, believe it or not, for the away end. We were in the Man City end when Paul Hendry scored the winner. My dad jumped up and down and cheered, so I joined in. That was the first time in my life that I ever got filled in. And when you look at me close up, you can see it's happened on quite a number of occasions since, but it was a good old fight that we had. And if I ever catch up with that lass who filled me in, I'll give her what for, because she was bang out of order as well. I know she was a couple of years younger, but she shouldn't have really done that. But I'm dead lucky to do what I do and work with certain people. And I always talk about Halifax. I'm dead proud of my town, and I think we all should be. But I worked with Kevin Keegan. I've worked with him a few times, and I was up in Newcastle, where he's absolutely loved up there. They adore the man. It's hero worship. I was up there with him. It was actually the first time that I'd worked with him, and I was really nervous. I went into the room, and it was about 3 hours before the event was taking place. I was to interview him for this event. And you're obviously nervous. I thought, Kevin Keegan over there. I went over and I says, hello, Kevin. He goes, hiya, mate. He didn't have a clue who I was, and I told him, and he still didn't have a clue who I was when I told him. And I says, I'm Pete. I'll be having a chat with you tonight. I'll be interviewing you. And the first thing he said was, Yorkshire lad, aren't you? I says, I am, yeah, Kevin, yeah. And he says, whereabouts are you from? He says, let me guess. I says, go on then. He went, Bradford, I reckon. I went, you're not far off, mate. I says, Halifax. And he says, 2 Yorkshire lads together tonight will be good. And he went, Halifax. He went, no word of a lie. He went, the mighty Shea Stadium, Halifax town. I says, never. And it made me day in him saying that. He says, he says, I remember one of my first games I played for Scunthorpe United was at the Shea Stadium. And he says, we got a corner. And captain said to me, right, Kevin, young Kevin, you take this corner. And he actually said, I thought I'd made it because they were letting me take a corner. And he says he went over, I think it was a bus station end, and he got bored. He says he put it down, didn't he? And he went to take the corner. And as he took the corner, he said, I'm not joking you, he said the earth moved under me. He says, and I fell over and the ball went straight out for a goal kick and everyone were laughing. He says the only reason they got me to take that corner was because there was the speedway track, the Halifax Jukes. And what it did, they used to cover turf where it sloped up, so that's why they let him take the corner. And then he says he got injured, and he says because if things can get any worse, they actually carted me off in a bucket. He says, so that's my memories of the Shea Stadium. I think there's been a few carried off in buckets down at the Shea, haven't there? But when I look back on my life and my sporting memories, the greatest moment ever will always be the 1987 Challenge Cup final when we beat St Helens 1918. It was just an unbelievable moment and an unbelievable memory. I know they replayed it a couple of weeks ago, did the club, and I sat there in front room with my wife, and I've got goosebumps now when I think of it. And I remember just looking at my wife, and her tash was full on stuck on end when that hooter went. It was just an amazing memory to have as well. And every time I work at St Helens, and I bump into Alex Murphy quite a lot, who was a coach at St Helens, and every time I see Alex Murphy, he always says to me, but don't you mention the final. I say, I won't, Alex, I won't. And then every time I get to end a conversation, I can't help myself. I always say, what a tackle by John Pendlebury that were, weren't it? And I can't tell you, I know there might be children watching, but he always calls me a few choice names, which I won't say. But it's been weird to get to know the people, a lot of the lads that played in that final, and a lot have become friends. And just an example, one of them, Wilf George, he was 60 a few weeks ago, and seems funny because he's a friend, but one of my heroes when I was younger, and to see him score at Wembley was magnificent. And I was down the Shea and I won the Golden Gamble. I won £228. I've never won anything in my life. And I said to Wilf, he was in the lounge, I said, come on Wilf, I'm going to take you out for a few beers. And I've got this reputation for being tight, which is totally untrue. And I took him out, and normally he drinks pints of bitter, but for some strange reason he started drinking double Bombay Sapphire gins with elderflower tonic. So that's what you're talking, your heroes taking advantage of your kind nature. But I hope he watches this, Wilf, and hopefully he might buy me a few pints, fingers crossed. But my journey with Halifax, I know I've been involved there for a long time. It all started through my friend Lee Roberts, really, because Lee got asked to do the Fax Factor, like an X Factor with the players, and he'd just gone professional comic and he got a booking. So he asked me if I'd cover for him, and I was really nervous to go down there. I'd never really met the players, I just watched them on the terraces. And the one player that always stood out for me that particular night were Danny Jones, the late great Danny Jones, because Danny sort of teed me up. I had to interview the players and stuff, and he set me up in the only way that Danny could do that. He gave me a few pointers on the player, told me to take the mickey out of them. And all down to Danny really, because I got threatened that night by Frank Watini. He told me to mention him getting flat tyres in his car, missing training. I didn't really realise he was setting me up, but it was good fun. Penke were going to kill me, Sean Penkovic and Damien Monroe as well. But that was the start of my journey with Halifax. And when Mike Riley said, we'd love you to come down and host our games, it was really like a dream come true. He said, we can't pay you, but it didn't really matter to me. That I thought I'd won the lottery when I got asked to be involved at the club. And the friendships I've made over the years are something that I'll never forget. Johnny Freeman was a great friend. Halifax's greatest ever try scorer. I've got nothing but nice memories of him as well. Rob Warrensey, Rob the Warrior Warrensey. I'll never forget the Halifax Ladies Night when I jokingly said that a raffle prize was to strip Rob off from his waist up only and baby oil him up. And at the end of the night, I had 300 women. You weren't giving us a prize winner for Rob Warrensey. I says, oh, it was just a spoof prize, I was joking. And they all started going off their heads as only Halifax women will do. And basically I drew the prize, and I've not heard of Rob since. He got absolutely devoured by some very crazy women that night. So Rob, the Warrior, if you're watching this, I do apologise for what happened to you that night, but I would have happily took your place, to tell you the truth. Other friendships, Tony Tonks, great pal of mine is Tony. Played at Featherstone, came to Halifax, and Tony's a great example of, he'll tell you if you're going past your limits really. And I'll never forget getting a bit carried away one afternoon down the Shea and getting rugby tackled over an advertising Orden by a 22 stone nugget is not a great memory. So I'll apologise to Neil Tonksy, and I've grown up quite a lot as well. But like I say, just in closing, I always mention Halifax wherever I am. I've been lucky enough to work at Liverpool Football Club for a few years, and I work with all the legends. And when you speak to people like Ian Callaghan, the record appearance holder for Liverpool Football Club, I think 857 appearances, and his last ever game in professional football was down at the Shea Stadium, and I like talking about things like that. And Jimmy Case, do you all remember Jimmy Case, a legendary hardman? Jimmy works there every week at Anfield. He comes up from Anfield and I sit with him, and the first time I met him, I said, "Hiya Jimmy," and you think he'd talk about all the European Cups that he won, but I said to him, "I actually remember watching you play for Halifax Town, Jimmy," and his face lit up. He says, "Really?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "I signed for them when I was 40, you know." I says, "Yeah, I know." I says, "I came down and watched you a few times." He says, "I absolutely loved it, and I love that town." And he looked at me, I thought he was going to say something really moving, and he says, "Is Acapulco still open?" So it don't matter what you think, our town is very famous, probably for all the wrong reasons, but it's great to hear people like that talking about our town. Listen, thanks everybody. I've managed to pad this out for 12 minutes, I don't know how. Big thanks to Lee Kenny and everyone from Snowflake Media, because they're doing their bit to support our club and junior sports in our town. And if we haven't got junior sports, we haven't got a club, because that's where everything starts from. So thanks everyone if you've paid your tenner to watch this. We've got some proper stars on soon, but listen, thanks so much, and stay safe, and hope we'll see you all soon for a bit of sport. Take care. Bye.
Now then, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, guys. Here is part of Halifax SOS. I've got Mick O Byrne and Graham Garrod from Halifax. Thank you very much, guys. Senior. So you both played between about 1980 to 1985. Mick, you had 40 appearances, is that right? 40 plus?
167, let's get it right.
Excuse me, right, well, that's not a very good start, is it? That's it. I see the internet, and now I'm going to put the toe in the water. It says 50 appearances for you, Graham, but that's it.
212 appearances and 11 substitute appearances. So I don't know why they didn't count them in the full amount.
So after that wonderful start, rather than me say anything, I'm going to ask you guys what positions you played, rather than me tell you.
Well, I played centre, and then ended up at standoff, and then ended up in my later career as loose forward, but only for a few games.
It's it when the pace drops off a little bit. You know?
That's it. That's it. You've got it. Absolutely.
And Mick?
I played on the wing my whole career. I did play the odd game at centre if Graham wasn't available, and Graham was my centre. We played on the right.
All right, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's it. And whereabouts are you both from?
I was originally born in Bradford. I started my career at Bradford Northern, and then I came to Halifax, met a young girl in Halifax, and moved to Queensbury, and then from Queensbury into Halifax, and I live in Hipholm now.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I was born in Bristol, and we moved when I was about 10. We moved to Bradford to Wyke, and I played rugby union at Cleckheaton, and that's where it was Jack Addy who was Maurice Bamford's right-hand man. He asked me to come up for a trial, and everything stemmed from that, really, and I've never regretted it.
Perfect. Well, that leads me nicely into the next question, which is, what do you think to Halifax as a town? I mean, I'm Halifax born and bred, and I love it, but you know, it is what it is.
Compared to Bradford, be careful what I say here, but very nice, very, very sociable people. We really enjoyed ourselves when not just being at the club, but actually living in the town. Peace Hall is now extremely good. I think it's got a reputation, Halifax, hasn't it? That you can walk in the front door of one pub and come out the back door, and then you're in the front door of a second pub. And it seemed to suit our playing style at that particular time, that we could socialise reasonably well within the town.
That's it. I mean, go on, Mick.
Again, I'll compare Bradford and Halifax, and I think the population of Bradford's a bit more. And when I got to Halifax, and once I got to know everybody in the team, and then we went downtown, you always felt that it was a lot closer, almost like a big village or a bit, you know, and everybody seemed to know everybody else. That's what I liked.
Oh, perfect. That's a nice place, nice way to be, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your first memories of playing for Halifax?
My first memory was in the first round of the Yorkshire Cup. It's when they played the first round and second round before the actual season started. It was under Maurice Bamford, so I knew Maurice from my Bradford Northern days. He was a second team coach. He came to Halifax. I came then at the start of the season with Mick Blacker and Jimmy Burts, Derek Howard, and a nice, very nice club that really was in. They just lost to Cairwoods amateur side the season before, and they were in the process of rebuilding. So they had a director called Ronnie Dobson, who brought Maurice, and then Maurice started to build a side that he would hope then would start to go and progress through the league. So exciting times, really. Having played second team rugby at Bradford Northern, to get a chance to play first team rugby on a regular basis was great, just what I wanted.
Yeah, when I joined the club, again, it was a very similar time to Graham. Graham was actually there when I got there. And Maurice Bamford was first team coach and Jack Addy the second. And on my debut, we played away at Castleford. It was then called Weldon Road.
Right, yeah.
And I stepped onto the field, and they were just about to start the game again. It was quite late on in the second half. And there was a power cut and the floodlights went off. So we went back in the changing rooms for about 20 minutes. And I honestly can't, someone will be able to tell me, I can't remember if we actually played the rest of the game. But that was supposedly my debut.
That's the debut, absolutely. Certainly one to remember. That's it. And now, from the first time you played to what's the best memory you've got of playing for Halifax?
I think the championship season when we had a side which was well respected, I think, in that particular league. We were winning more games than we were losing. Chris Anderson was coach then. Him and David Brooke, who was the president, had obviously got pulled some very good Australians, one in particular, Joe Kilroy, and other Australians, and it helped galvanise the side together and gave us a platform really to move on. And of course, that year we won the championship. The year after, then Wembley, and won at Wembley. So from a playing perspective and a successful season, that was probably the best. Saying that, we had some very good players before the Australians arrived, and we beat some good sides, some good quality Saints, Warrington, people like that. Widnes, we did pretty well, really.
That's it. And Nick, your best memory of playing for Halifax?
Mine's when Maurice Bamford was coach, and we actually got to the semi-final of the Challenge Cup, and we didn't have any big names playing for us. Maurice had brought together a team of lads who, like Graham, who were in the second team at Northern, and there were players that there were no stars, and we ended up getting to the semi-final of the Yorkshire Cup. We lost to Hull KR in the end, Roger Millward and his gang. But it's a lasting memory with me, and looking around at the crowd at Headingley, and the atmosphere in Halifax afterwards, and going around the pubs, and it was as if we'd won. It was fantastic.
That's it. As you say, there is certainly something for when it's there are no stars, but it's a team of lads that all play for each other. They're willing to play for each other.
Yeah.
Playing as a team is certainly something to be counted on.
Yes.
Yeah. Who was the joker? Who was cracking jokes in the changing rooms, on the pitch, getting me in the opponent's ribs, perhaps?
Terry Langton for me.
Yeah.
He was a character, and Jimmy. Yeah, there was. We had some good characters. We had some a lot of practical joking going on. Things that we can't really mention for a family audience, but there was lots of things that happened in training and in the changing rooms, and we had a good time, a good fun time. But you have to be on your wits, or have your wits around you all the time. Yeah,
you did. It was good. I remember we played away once. I think it was Whitehaven, and afterwards we were all travelling back, and we'd had a few beers, and we stopped for a meal, and there was a side salad with the meal, and Terry Langton said, "Oh, I love cucumber." Anyway, he made the mistake of getting up to go to the loo or the bar or whatever, and when he come back, there was a plate full of cucumber. But, he never changed his facial expression, and he sat there and he ate the whole lot. And he had a big smile on his face. It was brilliant.
That's it. What was your favourite away day? Who was good to go and play against away?
I suppose the Cumbrian sides, because we often went the day before, so we all went out for a few beers, and and it ended up. It just meant you had a lot of beer before the game. It was good.
I think going into Lancashire, going to Cumbria, they were all tough, hard sides. But as Mick says, we had some good days out in places like Whitehaven and Barrow and at Workington. And we did stay overnight a couple of times, didn't we, Mick? And we had a good... It was a team bonding exercise, apparently.
Well, Sid, looking at that, it sounds like there was a fair bit of drinking going on, having a good time. Certainly not secondary to the rugby. Do you think that might be a challenge for some of today's players?
It's a different game now, isn't it? It's very professional. I mean, we were semi-professional. We played hard on the field and trained hard, but we also socialised as well, which was part of it, really, part of our game, part of the culture at that particular time. Nowadays, people are very focused on fitness and strength levels and different scenario, really. It's a full-time occupation for people now, whereas we were semi-professional, and we wanted to enjoy it. But we did work hard on the field, and we did play well together, and we did win more games than we lost. So that was always nothing like winning. You know, at the end of the day,
No,
it was
absolutely.
fantastic feeling, really, when you beat some of the first division sides at the time. It was really good.
Sorry, go on, Mick.
Sorry, I agree with Graham entirely there, because it was semi-professional and it was like a bit of extra money to spend on beer and whatever. Although we took it seriously, and it was, we created a great team spirit and everything, and worked together. We weren't full-time professionals, so we came together on a Tuesday and a Thursday and match day, and that was about it.
I suppose it's a similar way to the lads now, really, with the situation that we're in, them still being semi-professionals. Most of the lads are still working.
Yes.
You know, that's it. And you've got to balance the work life, family life, your home life with training and playing the games as well. Sometimes, do you think that might put us at a disadvantage with some of the other sides?
I think if you look at the development of the game, it certainly leaped on. There was a certain leap forward when clubs went at full-time professional. We had the opportunity at Halifax, so I did at the end of the championship year when we won the championship. The players went full-time professional. I retired then at that time because it didn't suit.
Right.
I was too old, getting too slow, and so I retired at that particular time. But certainly, there was two things. One, the players that were already at the club became fitter, stronger, more focused, probably, and but it drew other players into the club as well, who had already got a professional, full-time professional background, and they joined Halifax at that particular time, helped the club to move forward. So it was a sort of natural development, I suppose, for the sport, for everybody in the top league of the competition to be full-time professional.
Yeah. Again, I agree with that. And when the Australians came over, they were classed really as full-time because they didn't have other jobs. And it sort of evolved from that, and eventually full-time professionalism came into the game, didn't it?
Very much so. That potentially would make it very difficult for... I was going to say, do you think, who would have done well from your era playing the modern game? How do you think you'd have got on?
Good question.
Great, very good question. It's a difficult one to answer because some people, like you say, had very good jobs outside the game, and therefore they'd have found it difficult to become full-time professional players. Saying that, anybody who is just giving their full time to training, to a program of training, strength training, speed training, then you're going to be a better player. We all know that. If we go out for a run and we continually have runs, you get better, you get fitter, you get healthier, and it's a natural development of individuals to improve the game if they're concentrating just on that one particular element of the life. You know, it's would we have been better? I'm sure we would. I think the whole team would have been better. Saying that, the opportunity wasn't there for us until David Brooke took over and was prepared to.
Might not have had as much fun either.
Well, no, I think that was it. We took it serious when we were on the field, but we did enjoy ourselves off the field. So maybe, you're right. We might.
And what about the other way? How do you think players from today would have got on when you guys were playing?
Well, it's difficult. It's difficult to tell because, like nowadays, the players they're geared up full time. The diets are even worked out for them, and they've got set programs to work through. And when you're working as well, it's difficult to fit so much in. So it's hard to compare because they fit so much in through being full-time professionals.
Yeah, of course.
I always think about Wigan when they were the first club to go completely full-time professional. And if you look on the record, I think they won the championship 8 years on the trot and the Challenge Cup. And it wasn't until other clubs like St Helens soon followed them, started to go full-time professional, and it made such a difference. It really did.
Absolutely. With the current players, what do you think the biggest difference is in the gameplay between, not talking about individual players, but talking, do you think not contesting the scrums makes a difference? Is that something you'd maybe look at bringing back? Or the shoulder charge? I'm a big fan of the shoulder charge. I definitely think
I think certainly we had certain skills in the Great Britain game, and one was the hooking element. We seem to have certainly better hookers than the Australians, and it was a skill. And the prop forwards and the hooker worked as a unit together and to win the ball. That competition now seems to have dried up. Is it better? I'm not sure, but certainly for me, we had some very good hookers at Halifax, didn't we, Mick? And
Dean Raystrick, he was good.
And we used to tap the ball against the head and score tries from that. And I think it was a good part, very competitive part of the game.
I always felt the Australians changed the game so the hookers weren't as prominent.
Yeah.
Simply because we were dominating it in the internationals. We're out, in certainly as hookers and what have you. And the game's changed so much. It's completely different.
It really is very different. You look at the wrestle and things now, it's all about how long you can hold them down in the tackle and that, and how long you can get away with it for. But you mentioned the international game. What are we missing? What could we bring back in order to beat the Australians? It's been such a long time.
I think we've lost a bit of flair, unfortunately, through this sort of development and people playing in zones. And I think some of the classy players that we had, very classy players, they're a bit more regimented now. The freedom to show some different skills and some different abilities doesn't seem to be quite as prominent now in the UK game as it was going back probably 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I agree with that, Graham, because you look at players like Danny Maguire and Gary Schofield. I always felt when they first came on the scene, they were individuals and they'd do things that probably a lot of coaches would cringe at because they might not always come off. But it added to the entertainment side of the game. And that's what's happened to the game now. I think that individualism has been stifled a bit and taken away. And it's so well organised as a team of 13 players that there's no place for that individual flair anymore.
No, they certainly look to play to the percentages, or what's the risk of that working, or that's it, we'll do that for territory instead of risking it, as you say.
Yes.
Do you still watch a lot of the modern game? Do you watch Super League or?
Certainly watch. Yeah, we certainly watch. Well, I watch Super League on the Thursday, Friday night, and then we got our passes this year to come to the Shea, and we haven't seen a game yet, have we? Unfortunately,
no.
It's a bit difficult this year, but I think Super League. To be fair, it is a bit like you were saying. It's a bit of a wrestle. It's who can open up the odd gap and be clinical and score a try. The sort of flair of individual people is becoming a little bit more limited, and it's more strength. Who's the strongest side? Who can break the middle of the field? Who can put the opposition on the back foot? Seems to be more prevalent now than it was going back a few years ago.
Absolutely. But so you would still watch Halifax when you get the chance, and then do you
Yeah,
follow
yeah.
a particular side in Super League, or?
Not really.
Yeah. Go on, Graham.
I don't particularly follow a side. I just like watching rugby. I think it's one of the best games, best sports. Certainly, from our point of view, mine and Mick's, we're best friends now. We met playing. We get involved now in the Ex-Players Association. Well, it's called the Players Association now, not the Ex-Players Association. We've both been chairman of that particular organisation. We go to the heritage meetings. We like the community. We like the people. We like the rugby league folk. They're honest people, and they appreciate a gritty game of rugby league. It's just nice people to be around, and long may that continue. And I think Halifax really have got a good following, very hardcore. Certainly when we played, Mick, we had people.
Yeah.
It used to be a religion for them. They used to. I can remember people telling me that they go to the pub at 12 o'clock. They come out 2:30, come to the game, go and get a drink in the tavern if it was open, then go to another pub at 7 o'clock when it opened, and then go home. And that was their sort of Sunday. It was home and away. It was pretty well focused around the rugby league of the rugby league team, and they still talk about it now. Some of the things that we did, some of the occasions, some of the games that we won, some of the games that we lost, and it's still very strong. The support is still very strong within the town.
Yeah, when we played, Graham, Halifax was a rugby town. You get football towns and what have you, but Halifax was all about rugby. And a lot of the pubs were run by ex-players like Foggies, and Jack Scroby had several pubs, and I think Jack Wilkie as well, Colin Dixon. So a lot of the pubs you went into, they were all about rugby league, and it just seemed to flow through the town. And especially after training, when you went in town on a Thursday, it was just all about rugby, wasn't it, Graham?
It was, yeah.
You didn't pay for many beers then?
Mick didn't.
Graham didn't.
Willie had short arms and long pockets.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for your time. You brought us on to a wonderful point, which I really think, especially at sort of this time with what's going on, is just the emphasis on the rugby league family, what it means to people, what it means to be part of it, what it means for you can go somewhere and enjoy a game with fans from different sides. There's no aggression. There's nothing like that, like there might be with other sports. And there's a wonderful sense of togetherness that I think at this time is something that we can really use. That's it.
I think you're right. I think it is a close. I mean, Halifax is a close knit community. I think the amateur teams for my son played for Siddle. They did pretty well. We seem to generate some good juniors who are doing well. Not always at Halifax, but very often they come back to Halifax. And I think it's the whole structure that's for a small town. We seem to do pretty well, don't we? We seem to have got a good formula within. We just need a little bit more success for the senior side, but and that's just a bit more belief, possibly. I'm not too sure, but hopefully we can do that now. We've got a very good coach, and hopefully the team can.
He's a great coach, but he's also a Halifax lad. I think that's important.
Absolutely. What more can you ask for? So let's hope let's hope we can just move forward a little bit and get a bit of consistency there.
Yeah, similar to me, the junior sides and like the local amateur clubs like Ovenden and Illingworth and Siddle and Elland, they're the future of the game. They're not going to get the players from anywhere else, the amateur clubs. And I just hope that it seems to be going through quite a tough time, and I just hope that does improve, because that is the future of the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Mick, Graham, thank you very much for your time today. It's been lovely to have a chat with you both. Wish you could have met under better circumstances, and I'm sure hopefully one day we might share a beer.
Well, you never know. We're up for that one.
We are.
Perfect. That's it. You guys look after yourselves, and I'll pass you back on to Halifax SOS for the rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Right.
Thank you.
Cheers, Will.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Canon Hilary Barber, and I'm the Vicar of Halifax Minster, that great pile of stones that's been there some 900 years down by Matalan. Many people, I'm sure, have walked past it, but I wonder how many of you have been inside it. Hopefully in a few weeks' time, when some of the restrictions begin to be lifted, we'll be allowed to welcome visitors back in again into that wonderful medieval building, which is one of the crowns of Halifax. I'm delighted to be supporting Halifax SOS as they try to raise money for Halifax Rugby League and for all those junior sports clubs who are raring to get back into action once restrictions have been lifted, and bring sport which gives us such hope and such entertainment normally throughout the whole year. It'd be great to raise some money to enable those organisations to come out of lockdown and to feel that they're strong and able to continue supporting their local communities. So please give generously to the £100,000 that's being raised this weekend to support Halifax Rugby League and all those junior sports clubs. And I'm particularly delighted that the Calderdale Community Foundation are going to be involved in supporting this event. If you don't know about the Community Foundation, they give out hundreds and thousands of pounds of grants every year to support the people of Calderdale. They're a fantastic organisation. So good luck. And next time you're passing the Minster, do call in. Our website is www.halifaxminster.org.uk. Look us up and come and see us when you're able. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I want to talk to you just about the funds. So the funds that we're raising here from tickets and sponsorships are going directly to junior clubs via grants programs, and people can apply for that and tell us what they want it for, whether it's kit or equipment. And that's going to be managed by the Community Foundation for Calderdale. You can check those out at cffc.co.uk. The other half's going to go to the Halifax Rugby League Club. All the money is going to go straight to the Community Foundation, and they're going to split it in half, give half to the rugby club, and then they're going to proceed with the grants programme from there. My appeal to you right now is, I know you've been incredibly generous in buying a ticket. Hopefully if you're watching this, it means you bought a ticket. If not, go back and buy one, please. ticketsource.co.uk/Halifax SOS. But assuming you paid for a ticket, thank you. If you have any more spare, if you feel like you've had good value this weekend and you may want to see a bit more of the show, that's totally okay. Then we are still accepting donations. So whether that's one-off lump sums, whether it's £5, £10, it doesn't really matter. We really appreciate anything you give. The idea is that the more that comes in, the easier we can make life for these junior sports clubs, essentially. So obviously what we're going to do is take applications in. We already have nearly 30, so you can imagine if we wanted to give everybody £1,000, then that would be £30,000 we would need to raise. And I have to say we're not near those numbers. Again, if it's 500, that's 15, if it's 250, but we want to make a real difference, and that's where, again, I'm hoping that your generosity can extend. Some people may be watching this after the event, so if so, we've set up a page called snowflakemedia.co.uk/SOS donate, all one word, SOS DONATE, and that's going to show you at that time, whether it's today or in the future when you come back, exactly how you can donate. There's a few ways simply. You could go and buy some more tickets if you wanted. Yes, you've already bought tickets, but if you wanted to go buy another 1, 2, 5, 10, whatever, that would be appreciated. That's number one way. Number two is you can get in touch with us via social media and say, hey, I don't want to put it through that way. Can I send the money directly to the Community Foundation? And one of the team will help you and they will say, great, here is how you can get that money across. Obviously, you can support the club directly by going and using their virtual bar as well. Or maybe you might want to send a cheque. You know, I know that people watching, some will still be paying by cheque. So again, just get in touch with us. You can either email us at halifaxsos@snowflakemedia.co.uk. That's halifaxsos@snowflakemedia.co.uk. You can text us on the social media, messaging through Facebook and Twitter. Either of those two things is okay. Snowflake Media do not take any money directly. We don't want to take any cash directly. It will all go out, but the staff here, the team here will help you and direct you in the best way possible. Hopefully, again, the more we can do. The other thing you can do is you can share with your friends if you've enjoyed some of the programs, if you enjoy the idea of looking at. We've only really promoted this via some emails and some social media, and not everybody's on social media, and not everybody sees everything on social media. So maybe don't make an assumption that people have seen it. We've got some great programs still to come. WhatsApp people, message them, maybe pick up the phone and just encourage those guys to get their own ticket as well. So I want to thank you for being part of the show. I want to thank you for everything you've done before already, and hopefully we'll be able to raise a little bit more cash just for these junior clubs to take the pressure off them, their parents, and the thankless volunteers, people running these clubs. I think we owe a huge amount of gratitude to those guys as well. So dig deep. It's all local. Everything is still local. There's no management fees. None of this. Every penny we get from the credit card company when that comes out and Ticket Source all goes to Community Foundation. So with that, I'll leave you. I'll let you enjoy coming back to the show. We've got some really great stuff coming up, and I'll see you again regularly throughout the weekend. Hey, I'm joined by somebody who was the first in when it came to saying we want to do this event. And I'm very pleased today to welcome this weekend David Durbin from Faxtrust. So thanks, David. Thanks for joining us this weekend.
Pleasure. I wanted to get in there first and support it. Very good idea, Lee. Very good.
Brilliant. And as I say, David was the first person who kind of emailed and said, how can we get involved? How can we support it? So David, tell me a little bit about the Faxtrust. I know it goes under a couple of different names depending whether it's Facebook or Twitter. If you could tell the audience a little about that.
Yeah, well, the trust was originally the supporters club back in the Thrum days. And then in 2002, we actually changed to an independent supporters trust as part of Supporters Direct. We've always supported the club in one way or another. And over the last few years, primarily for the reserves. Clearly that's not going ahead this season, or as nothing else is at the moment.
Yeah.
But we decided then to support Squad Builder and Fax One. So we came together on that to help support them with the players. We've always done various fundraisings throughout the year, all to support the club.
Yeah, brilliant. And presumably you're missing the share this season now after just a few games in.
Yes, it's one of our fairly good fundraising days always at the Shea, because we always do bucket collections at the Shea. Yeah. We were selling replica shirts and vintage shirts and things like that, all of which raise money for the club. And of course, there's no longer those revenue streams around at the moment, so it's a case of we've had a membership drive several weeks ago now, and we've also had a few donations. So if anybody out there would like to join or make donations, then you can find our details on the club website.
Brilliant.
If they go to the right-hand click-down boxes, our Supporters Trust page is there, and all the contact details are on there for people to get in touch.
Brilliant. And do you have a message for your fellow supporters out there, or what would you like to say to them?
Well, first of all, of course, the same with everybody else. Stay safe. Keep the social distancing. Keep watching as much rugby league as you can on Facebook or YouTube or whatever it might be to get your fixes. Thanks to the club for putting on the 1987 Challenge Cup final. That was really good to watch. It's the first time actually I've seen the actual whole game since the day. So keep safe. Hope the players are doing what they've been asked to do in terms of keeping fit and be ready to go, hopefully later on this year.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your support. I know that everybody around the club really appreciates it, and I think we can't wait till the boys can pull on the jersey again. And thanks again for your sponsorship. That's going to go towards obviously Halifax, but also to the junior sports clubs in the area. So it's really much appreciated. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event this weekend.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Lee. Thanks very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You may know him from BBC's The Voice. Here's a track from Callum Butterworth.
All my life I've been pushed around, saying I wasn't good enough. People talking all these things, saying that I wasn't tough. And all I needed was someone to come and pick me up. Just anyone, just anyone. I walked around with my head down and I feel I was no use. Like if I were to disappear, no one cares, and that's the truth. See, no one sees running through your head all the thoughts and abuse. Not anyone, not anyone. See, they will kick you and beat you and push you down to the ground. They'll haunt you and taunt you to think there's no one around. The voices in your head, yeah, they keep getting loud. Gonna let them drown. We all got problems, and that's the truth. Can't let them get you down. You've got so much to lose. It gets better now, I promise to you. You gotta keep going strong. Gotta keep your head strong. Whoa, there's been times I felt like giving up. No one to talk to, things were so rough. But I realized my worth. I picked myself up and now my skin is tough. My skin is tough. See, they will kick you and beat you like you ain't good enough. They will haunt you and taunt you like they've already won. But believe me, my friend, you are the stronger one. The stronger one. The stronger one. We all got problems, and that's the truth. Can't let them get you down. You've got so much to lose. It gets better now, I promise to you. You gotta keep going strong. And I know it's life, and I know it's hard. You don't have to be ashamed of a single scar. Keep better than none. Keep pushing through. Keep going strong. This is my message to you. Keep better than none. Keep pushing through. Keep going strong. Can't let them get you down. You're so much to lose. It gets better now, I promise to you. You gotta keep going strong. We all got problems, and that's the truth. Can't let them get you down. You got so much to lose. It gets better now, I promise to you. You gotta keep going strong. Keep better than all. Keep pushing through. Keep going strong. This is my message to you. Keep better than all. Keep pushing through. Keep going strong. This is my message to you.
Thanks to our very generous sponsors, Chadwick Lawrence, Study Right 11+, Key Stage 3 and GCSE Tuition, Faxtrust, Zenith Independent Wealth Management, Seakirsch and Craggs Business Parks. Next up, Jimbo Lynch Music.
I sing myself to sleep, a song that's from my darkest hour, secrets that I can't keep inside of the day. I
streams of sweet and sour. I hope that God exists, and I hope and I pray. But drawn by the honor that's all my life is out of control. But I believe that this way that it bear my weight, so let it flow. And oh, sit down, oh, sit down, oh, sit down, and sit down next to me. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, in sympathy. Now I'm relieved to hear that you've been to some far out place that's not to carry on when you feel all alone. Now I swung back down again, it's worse than it was before. And if I hadn't seen such riches, then I could live to be in poor. And oh, sit down, oh, sit down, oh, sit down, sit down next to me. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, in sympathy. Those who feel the breathless sadness, sit down next to me. Those who find they're touched by madness, sit down next to me. Those who find themselves ridiculous, sit down next to me. In love and in fear and in hate and in tears, in love, fear and hate and tears, in love and in fear, in hate and tears, in love, fear and hate. Down. Sit down next to me. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, in sympathy. Oh, sit down, oh, sit down, oh, sit down, sit down next to me. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, in sympathy. Oh. I say, here comes Johnny singing, I got a woman down and I'm down trying to make you pay. He got the action and then he got the notion. Oh yeah, the boy can play. Dedication, devotion, 10 out of 9 times into the day. A song about a sweet loving woman, a song about the night. But man, just do the walk of life. Yeah, you do the walk of life. Tell you a story, hand me down my walking shoes. Here comes Johnny, the power and the glory. Backbeat, talking blue. He got the action and then he got the notion. Oh yeah, and the boy can play. Dedication, devotion, 10 out of 9 times into the day. A song about a sweet loving woman, a song about the night. But man, just do the walk of life. Walk of life. Here comes Johnny, gonna tell you a story. Hand me down my walking shoes. Here comes Johnny, the power and the glory. Backbeat, the talking blue. He got the action and then he got a notion. Oh yeah, and the boy can play. Dedication, devotion, all the night time into the day. And after all the violence and devil talk, song about his troubles and his stripes. And man, just do the walk of life. Yeah, you do the
so much for tuning in to Halifax SOS. It's an amazing event. For buying your tickets, thank you so much. So my name's Jimbo Lynch. And you can check out more on Jimbo Lynch Music on Facebook. I'd really appreciate it. So 50% of all donations today go to Halifax Rugby League, and 50% goes to the amazing junior sports clubs in the area. So thank you so much, guys. Keep watching, keep sharing, and thank you for donating. See you soon.
This could be interesting. All the way from Australia, Des Clark, Greg Florimo and Gavin Clinch hook up with Gibbo and Sky Sports Rugby League's Brian Carney.
Okay, welcome to this segment of the Halifax SOS weekend. If you're watching this, you've contributed. Thank you very much. You know where the donations are going. 50% to the Rugby League Club, 50% to grassroots and community football. So thank you in advance and spread the word. Halifax Rugby League Club doing great things in these trying times. My name's Brian Carney. It is my pleasure to host this brief interview section for you. And it is my pleasure to invite on some guys who wore the famous Halifax jersey with tremendous pride. They join us from far afield and a little closer to home. If you're at home, give a virtual round of applause, please, to Des Clark, Damian Gibson, Greg Florimo, and the one and only Gavin Clinch. Gentlemen, thanks for coming along.
Cheers.
Thanks
Thanks for having us. Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure.
It's been a while, guys, since some of you were seen on these shores, and it's been even longer since some of you guys put a jersey on. Let's give us a quick update, if you will, and we'll go around the room with starting with Des Clark. Tell us, since Rugby League finished for you, what you've been up to and what you're currently doing.
Well, Brian, I've got into the construction game pretty much a couple of years after I left Halifax, and I went between that and sort of still playing sub-professionally. And I found my way back to France playing rugby league, and from there, obviously, it's only a little stone's throw over to England. So on one weekend where I was visiting my little mate Gibbo back in Halifax, I fell in love with a beautiful Yorkshire lass. Ended up moving back there and marrying her, and moved back to Halifax for about 8 years. Had 2 children. Had a concrete pumping business running out of Halifax for about 5 years. And about 5 years ago, we just moved back to the Gold Coast with the kids. Who are both started school here now, and trying to turn them from little Yorkshire people into Gold Coast lifesavers.
You chose wisely on both counts. I married a Yorkshire woman as well. I just don't have the sunshine that you guys have got at the moment. Greg Florimo, a man we hear and see from fairly often, still flying the flag for the North Sydney Bears over there in Australia. Flo, give us a little summary, if you will, of your post-playing career.
Oh, g'day, Brian. Thanks, mate. Just joining you from Shelley Beach, New South Wales tonight. Really nice to be here. My career post-footy has still been about footy. I've been involved with the club as an administrator, as a CEO, as a general manager. Now I'm wellbeing and education manager with the club, which at this present time is probably more important than ever, given the circumstances that we're all under. And unfortunately, our competitions, the Canterbury Cup and Jersey Flegg, which is the reserve grade or second division, I guess you might call it, and our under-20s, has been cancelled for the year. So we're still managing those players and trying to keep them motivated for perhaps, making an NRL team, which obviously the NRL comp's gone ahead, or possibly getting ready for next year. So still heavily involved in the game, Brian. Really happy, really proud of still being able to do that, and happy to join you tonight.
Well, we thank you very much for your time. We'll go to a man now who either looks very young for his age right now or looked very old when he played. Gavin Clinch. Clinch the pin. What keeps you busy?
Well, I don't feel young, so that rules that out. So when I finished over in England, I think that was 2005, moved back to the Shire, as you do. You don't leave this place. So I come back here, and then I ended up captain coaching down in the Illawarra Wollongong comp for about 5 or 6 years. So I went down there, played, coached. I've got 2 kids that both born over in Halifax. So come back here, set up here, got back into the work, back into operations. And then I've been with the same company for about 13, 14 years now. So look after all their national contracts around Australia. So I travel around Australia and facilities and cleaning and security and food and all these areas. So since I left there and come back into the workforce and doing that day to day, unfortunately.
Sounds like you're rolling in it.
Sorry?
Sounds like you're rolling in the cash.
No, not at all. So I'm not at the moment because there's nothing to do on a Saturday, so I'm on the punt all day from 12 to 6.
Yeah, you'd be so lucky. There's nothing to bet on over here.
Yeah,
man who left a mark and continues to leave a mark on the Halifax club and the environment, does tremendous work in the community. Damian Gibson, you played a large part in pulling all these players together for this webcast. What keeps you busy nowadays?
Mate, I'm still in Halifax. I'm in the UK. I've been here for 23 years now, I think. I've got my own. I retired. I've gone into my own fitness business, DG Ozfit. So that's going really well. I'm really enjoying that. I had a stint coaching professionally with the Rhinos and Dewsbury Rams straight after I retired, and then moved on to training, fitness training. I'm also doing a little bit of work with the rugby league back on side programs. I'm also getting involved in a really exciting scheme to do with mental health. So watch this space, keep an eye out for that. I'm going to be doing some work with the rugby league on that, which I think is a fantastic concept. So I've got my hand in a few areas. I'm also working for Rishworth School, training some of their elite kids. So, mate, I've got lots going on. I'm really enjoying life. I've just had a little girl. She's 10 months old. So she's keeping me really, really busy.
Oh, congratulations. We can see some of her paraphernalia behind you there, the little mobile setup. Gibbo, you joined Halifax from the Leeds Rhinos. Flo, you came from the Wigan Warriors. Des and Gavin, you signed straight from Australia. I want to get all four of your takes on your first arrival, not just to the Halifax club, but over to the UK. So, Gibbo, when you first joined the Leeds Rhinos, Greg, when you came to Warriors, and the two other boys when you joined Halifax straight off the plane. We'll start with you, Des. What did you expect, and what were your first impressions of the country when you landed in it?
Well, it was when I first got here. I think about 4 days later, we played a game at Featherston. I think it's Post Office Road, the old Featherston ground, and Correct. It was back in the days where they still had baths. And I remember after the game, and I'm four days off jet lag, and we sort of came off the ground, and I walked back into the dressing rooms, and all these guys were, with mud and blood and all sorts of them jumping in this, and they're in the bath. And I'd sort of come from it was fair. It was a little bit more professional over here, and with the hygiene and whatnot. And there was some blokes like Calvert Skerritt and Carl Harrison, and they were sort of saying, "Oi, bloody Aussie lad, jump in here." And I kind of had a bit of a decision, because in my head I was thinking, I'm looking at all sorts of, Hep B and all sorts of things you've been educated on in Australia about hygiene, but I sort of had to become one of the boys and jump in. So in I jumped. And
undies on or off?
Oh, I reckon I might have took them off. I think there was might have been a few boys with jock straps, but that was pretty much my first. And like it, what it's like when you're traveling overseas and then playing, your head's a bit gone all over the place. And then I think I got caught with I think it might have been Ned and Stan and Cov out at the plummet line on that night afterwards, and that was my first introduction to drinking pints. And I still remember this. It was I remember at the plummet line, and so sort of got stuck drinking with some blokes that could really handle it. If they put the new Aussies there to test them out, but geez, they sent me home in a pretty bad way anyway.
Professional rugby league, late 90s. Flo, you arrived over, signed for Wigan, and then headed across the Pennines to Halifax. What were your first impressions? I mean, you had experience of travelling over here. You played against Halifax with Australia. But settling into life in England as a professional rugby league player, how did it hit you?
Well, my first impression of Halifax was in '94 when we came over with the Kangaroos and we played at Thrumall, and got away with a win against a very solid Halifax team. I think there was a young Dickie Smith on the wing there, which I remember as much as I remember the ground itself, which we ended up training quite a bit there. But we were obviously at the Shea in 2000. But
my memories, I'd actually signed 2 years with Wigan when I came over, and at the point where we didn't make the semis in '99, I got a call from Gary Mercer, and he said, "You want to come to Halifax?" I said, "Well, no, mate, no, I'm with Wigan." He said, "No, you've been released. You're not there anymore." So I spoke to Morris, Morris Lindsay, and he said, "No, Flo, we're not happy with our imports. You're free to go and negotiate." So that was what I learned.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good impression.
But it was awesome. I loved it. The people, the town, the energy, the support. It was such a great memory, especially for me in my final year. And it just took me back to when I really loved the game as a young fella. That's what you played for, was all that passion and energy. And that season there, particularly my last game at the Shea, will live in my memory forever, as will the people in the town.
As you left the DW Stadium as it became and headed over to the Shea to play for Halifax, Gavin Clinch, following a magnificent season for the club as on a whole, and you as an individual in '98, you went the other way in 1999 at the end of the season and headed over to the Warriors.
Yeah. So I think, firstly, I got over the same time as Des. When I did arrive for Halifax in '98, I was about the same day we arrived. And yeah, we went to that Post Office Road and it was freezing. But I remember after the game, we got on the bus. And I think it might have been Challenge Cup game because it was sponsored by Regal. And we got on the bus and it was like a fire on the bus. Every bloke in the team was smoking bungers, cartons. I thought, how good's this? So that was there. And then when we got back 3 days later, we went to Lanzarote for 2 weeks training, and we landed in Lanzarote and they had like this storm that was out of control. So John Pendlebury said, look, the only way we're going to bond is to just get on the piss. So we got on the piss for 3 days. So I thought, how good's this? But then, yeah, I ended up 98. Yeah, we had a real good year, and financially the club kind of didn't do as well. And I think we were on a lot of bonuses and they just didn't bring in the revenue they did. And unfortunately, at the end of that year, they just said, you and Chris Chester go to Wigan, or basically we shut up shop. So look, at the time I thought, it's great going to Wigan, but it didn't work out for me. It was probably similar to Flo. I ended up coming back to Halifax and I enjoyed that more, being the local environment and everyone's around and, a lot of locals. So yeah, that was, unfortunately, but I wouldn't have turned down going to Wigan, because if I hadn't gone, I would have looked back on it. But in the end, that first couple of years at Halifax was enormous. When you win and too, it makes a difference.
Gibbo, you came to Halifax through the Leeds Rhinos as well. That was your first port of call after stepping off the plane from Australia.
Yeah, mate, I just remember cold. I'd come from the Cowboys up in North Queensland, scorching hot. Winters are about 25 degrees. You're sweating in air conditioning, and then you come over here and, oh my Lord, I come over in January. I got here a bit late, just freezing. Going to train and wanting to wear about 5 tracksuits. Just couldn't do it. Didn't want to move, couldn't move my fingers or anything like that. And I got off the plane. They took me straight from Manchester to training at Leeds. Then the coach says, oh mate, you can have a run out tomorrow, we'll just give you 5 minutes. So I ended up playing the very next day. So being very, very cold, but just couldn't understand anyone either. Like the accents now I'm fine with, I've been here that long, but I just could not understand a word anyone said to me. Just nodded and yep. But I just remember it being bitterly cold.
I wonder, is the inability to decipher what exactly people are saying a bonus? Greg, you referred to Morris's, Lindsay's comments about overseas signings. An extra degree of pressure comes with being a high-profile signing coming into the competition. The crowds are pretty close to the ground, and we know they're certainly vocal. What are your abiding memories of the atmosphere at rugby league grounds over here?
It was brutal. It was brutal. If you were fat or slow or you dropped the ball, you were gone. They were in you. I remember playing at Salford and copying the "you fat bastard" with 5,000 people. And you don't have a comeback, do you? I mean, what do you say? Again, I love the the noise, and everyone's into it. They wear the colours, they got the scarf, they're invested totally, and it's something that I think Australian crowds could learn from, because they're a bit fickle about win or loss, or good or bad. But in the UK, particularly in Halifax, and as I say, it was back to what, rugby league was about to me. It was about your tribe and your community and people just getting behind you.
Des, you played your part in that fantastic 1998 season. I looked down at the squad that Halifax had available, like some phenomenal names in it, finishing third, dream team membership for some of the guys in the side. There's also another interesting aspect. It's the amount of people that went into coaching from that side and people that are currently coaches. When you reflect back, who did you have highlighted as a potential coach of the future?
Yeah, well, that was there are a lot with Richard Marshall and Rolls and Chesney, all those guys gone in. Even Carl Harrison had a pretty long career, didn't he? But just before you go to that, I was just going to say with the crowds, if you boys remember Clinchy and Gibbo when Freddie Tuilagi scored in a Challenge Cup match at Thrum Hall. It might have been our last competitive game at Thrum Hall, and he jumped up into what they called the scratching shed behind the post, and we nearly lost him. The crowd just took him. Remember that? He just sort of jumped up the top and put his hand up, and they just took him.
Yep.
But it was like you say, the crowds were unbelievable. But I mean, Chesney obviously was quite young there, but he always had that, had a good brain on him, and Paul Rowley, very astute player. I guess Marshy was a bit of a surprise packet, but he had a good, he's obviously a good demeanour. But I think myself as a front rower, being a front rower, how are you going to be telling halfbacks how to run their plays? But obviously Marshy found a way and had some good tutelage along the way. And again, Carl Harrison, I don't know. I suppose if he told me to run through a brick wall, I'd certainly do that, just through sheer fear. But I guess it's a credit to the guys that they've kept their rugby league careers going so long post playing, I guess.
They reckon when he was coach of Salford, Carl Harrison, I'm talking about, Clinchy, you may be able to support this. He used to pull out the samurai sword when he'd call him into the office. And he used to pull out the samurai sword to emphasise his point.
Yep. Video sessions. He used to get it out and he'd just walk up and down the aisle, just swinging it around. And if you missed tackles or you're out of line, you had to duck. He was mad. He was mad. But he was the old school, their training was trained. Mondays you go to pubs. Even when the back end, when I finished over there, I think in 2004 or 5, it was still Monday sessions at the pub and everyone together. And but he had the sword and he used to pull it out on a Monday if we lost. So interesting fella.
He didn't mind the drink, Kelvin Scardy. He had a great drinking buddy, Neil Cowie, who was a former teammate of yours at Wigan Flow.
Yeah, good, another good redhead. It was interesting when I got to Wigan. I obviously spent 13 seasons in Sydney, and I walked into the dressing room the very first training session, and I wasn't quite sure, where do you put your bag, where who people are, and I happened to sit next to Neil Cowie, and I put my bag down, and I put my hand down and say, "G'day, mate, Greg Florimo," and he goes, "I know you are. You can sit over there." It was a really warm welcome from the big man, but we came good mates. I love him.
That's Neil Cowie in a story. There's no doubt about that. Guys, let's just flick through your most memorable moment in a Halifax jersey, if you could, Gibbo. I mean, you've played plenty of times for the blue and white. What's your most memorable moment?
Mate, there's probably not one moment. It was just that whole '98 season. We came. There wasn't
in terms of the question here.
Hey,
there is in terms of the question. Give me one moment. Don't go into waffle.
Mate, just probably just in the dressing room with the boys with that buzz. I can't pick a moment. It's just being with the boys every day, being in that changing room, having that team environment before we went out and seeing the boys getting revved up and knowing it was game time and knowing everyone had your back. We had a great bunch of boys. The staff, everyone there were fantastic. I still look back with my fondest memories of rugby league. The kit men have been there forever. It's just such a family orientated club. The boys have touched on that. And it wasn't just about the boys. You know, after the game, we went into the Weavers and you spent time with the fans, you spent time with the staff, and everyone was just like one big happy family. And it was just something, and I've lived there ever since. I love Halifax. I love the people. And I think it's a great place, great town, great club. So one moment, oh God.
Okay.
Gee, that was a lot of waffling, wasn't it?
I'm interviewing Scott Morrison here. Right, we'll go to Des Clark. Des, if you can, take us back to a moment in a Halifax jersey that stands strongest in your memory.
No waffling?
If you can help it.
Oh, again, it's tough, but that game, that Halifax versus Huddersfield Challenge Cup match, and it was one of our first games, and it was at Thrum Hall. It was a packed house. Probably, I think it was the last competitive game, and I got sent off for 10 in the first couple of minutes, trying to assert myself, you know, as an overseas player, because a bit of pressure on. And I had a bit of a fallout with, I think it was big Jeff Wittenberg, who I'm pretty good mates with now. And I got 10 in the bin, and then I kind of got a bit of slack going up the tunnel. And I think Huddersfield, a good mate of mine, Chris Orr, was playing for them then, and he was telling me how, you know, they were going to be such a good club and blah, blah, blah. So anyways, when I came back on, I kind of had a bit of a point to prove. And I think at the death of the match, I think Clinchy put me through under the post. And
again,
yeah. And I had a bit of a sigh of relief, and it was a good. The crowd went berserk, and they were right on top of me at Thrum Hall, and the boys kind of came, and it was like I'd sort of half redeemed myself. I gave Ori a little bit of a wink as we took the victory and went on to the next round of the Challenge Cup for that year, and then Stan probably gave me a few regals in the sheds afterwards as well.
Well, there you go, Gavin Clinch. You've given Des Clark his best moment in a Halifax jersey. Fair to say he didn't return the favour?
Not on the field, so not on it. So me, Brian?
Yes.
I guess me, 98, we were going well, and I think Bradford were one of the top teams at the time. They were huge, from 1 to 13. They were 6'3", massive. And I remember we played them at the Shea on a Sunday afternoon, and for that crowd there, we had a capacity crowd, and I think we knocked them off quite comfortably. And I thought that was, you realise then what the local derby, what it meant for the club, Halifax versus Bradford or Huddersfield. But at the time, Bradford, they were the guns, and that was a really good occasion. And again, you go back in and everyone celebrated together, and you've seen what it meant for a lot of the locals to win those type of games.
Yeah, that's quite an achievement back in that time. Bradford going through some difficulties at the moment, but a win against them back in that time was certainly significant. Flo, you've had a storied career, international, club level. Just take us back to that career coming to an end in a Halifax jersey. What's the standout moment from your season in Halifax?
It was actually the final game, Brian. We lined up that it was my final professional game, and there was a bit of support there from the club, and we beat Huddersfield quite convincingly. And I made a bit of ceremony out of it in that I took my boots off and I walked out to the middle of the field and I placed them on the centre part of the kickoff spot and left them there and walked off. And it was quite emotional and ceremonious, and I did that. And I thought, that's it. I've hung my boots up. I've put my boots out. But since that day, it's amazing how many amount of Halifax fans have actually got my boots. Somebody keeps telling me, I've got your boot, Flo. I found it on the Shea. But look, that day in particular, we won really well. It was a beautiful sign-off. And it was just a culmination of, of a really nice time in my life.
All right, boys, we're nearing the end of this special podcast, or vodcast, I should say, for the Halifax SOS weekend. We're in lockdown over here. It's, for obvious reasons, a stricter lockdown, and looks like it will be lasting longer than you guys over in Australia. Gibbo will attest to that. The pubs are closed over here. They're closed in Australia. When they do open up, Des Clark, you can bring 3 former Halifax teammates into the pub with you for that first cold pint. Who are they?
Well, I'd have to bring Gibbo because he was my roommate over there, and he was always a good bit of entertainment for us after he'd had about 2 pints because he could hardly stand up. Clinchy lived 2 doors up, so I'd probably have to go with him because then I could share a cab home with him. I wouldn't have bought Rolls because he was probably the tightest man in the Halifax Kia, so he wouldn't have got a start. Ming Mercer, great bloke, but he's a Kiwi, and that Trans-Tasman thing, I certainly wouldn't be putting up with that Kiwi talk. Him start telling me how many tests he's played for New Zealand. Probably Chrissy Chester or Carl Gillespie were some mates we used to always sort of hang around with. So yeah, I'd probably take Fish Cake, and my 2 little roomies there.
Thanks, Des.
All right, Clinchy, you made the trip. Are you going to reciprocate?
Yeah, so we lived next door to each other. So we basically, Des and Gibbo were next door, and Nicole and I were next door. So we basically, Gibbo, Des, I, Nicole, and we went out basically all the time. And even if it wasn't out on the piss, it was like a Tuesday night dinner up at one of the Moorcock Inn or somewhere. So definitely those 2 guys. And even when we left and went to other clubs, we kind of always caught up and, always ended out together. So, it was some pretty special times there. So definitely those 2. Gibbo was great of a night, but the next morning he was a very different person. So we had to drag him out of bed to training and dress him and had to do a lot of things for the poor little fella. But he was very good of a night, young Damian. And my last person would have been Marty Moana. So he was another guy that we used to knock around with all the time. And if you ever got into trouble, it was good that you had him around. So he was just a good bloke and old school and just had good time. We had some really great times. So yeah, Des, Gibbo and Marty for me.
Yeah, he works with us at Sky Sports doing the stats, Marty Moana. He hasn't got any smaller, let me tell you. You would be standing behind him. Gibbo, I reckon the more athletic you are, the harder the drink hits you. So I'm gonna put that down as your excuse. Who are you taking on that first trip out after the lockdown end?
Well, mate, I've been giving good thought to this. Obviously, Des, because Des, mate, he was awesome on the guitar. We had plenty of guitar sessions back at home. We'd take half of Halifax back to the flat with us after a night out. So Des could be doing the entertainment. Clinchy would be there just because I can drink a lot more than him, and and he can look after me. Flo was in there, but then I remembered his favourite party trick when he has a beer is to get his pint in his bicep, and when he sculls it, throws it over his shoulder and smashes the pint on the floor, so we'd be kicked out of anywhere too quick. So I couldn't have him in my squad. And again, it'd probably be Marty Moana, just because he's so big, no one's going to mess with you. And he's also a card shark, so he could win all the money. We wouldn't have to pay for any drinks, and it'd be a free night.
Oh, there are some names of the past there. Yeah, Marvin Golden. Doncaster at one stage. There was a Rhino as well for a long time. Gibbo, was he at the Rhinos when you were there?
Yes, yeah, he was there. He was at the Rhinos, so good man.
Yeah, Darryl Curtis as well. Lightning quick, absolutely. Guys, that's brilliant. We're going to bring it to a close here for this special edition for the Halifax SOS weekend. I'm going to give you the chance. We're going to start with Des. Just a line, a thank you, a farewell, a hello to the people of Halifax that are supporting this initiative, support the club and support the community. Desi, off to you.
Yeah, well, first of all, hello to everyone down at the show and the supporters and the fans that are following the Halifax club. Hope you're all well and staying safe in this time. Hope you're still keeping that support for the club, who's going to need you more than ever at the moment and when they get back. And let's all stick there. And one thing about the Halifax and rugby league in general, it's so much of a family, and I felt that. And even when I went back to Halifax, now's the time that we all need to stick together and remember, what we're about and who we are, and where we want to be when we come out of all this.
Nice words, Gavin.
Just like to say hi to everyone over there. I want to get back over the next few years, just dreading that flight. But I understand what they're going through at the moment. It's difficult for everyone. My young bloke plays junior footy over here, and they're crying to get back onto the field. I think we are ahead of you guys over there in the way that we're coming back, but it's tough. And some of the greatest people I've ever met over there. And you look at Stan and Hilda and Cov and Ned and all these type of people. They were just what makes rugby league, and they made that club. And I hope they're doing well. And if there's any way we can support, I've seen they're fundraising some other items, and that I might send some jumpers over to Gibbo that they might be able to auction or something to get some money towards the juniors and get them back on the field and get the seniors back on the field also. So good luck.
Thanks very much. So kind of generous as well to send over some items. Flo, will you send over your boots from that last game you played in?
I will. I think I've got a replica pair there. But Brian, just thanks for the opportunity. It's really nice to be able to connect, even though there's a lot of distance and a lot of time between drinks. But I feel a sense of, it's great to see the guys on my screen again. And if we can do anything to support the junior rugby league or the actual efforts going on in Halifax town, I think that's what we're here for, and it's just a matter of a phone call, Brian. So thanks for having me, and you too, Gibbo. Thanks for getting it together, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, good on you, boys.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to end with you, Damian, because while you gave a lot to the club gave a lot to you, the community gave a lot to you, and that relationship continues to this day. So I think it's fitting that the final word to anybody that's watching this goes to you.
Yeah. Well, mate, I just want to thank everyone for their support. As we've all mentioned, Halifax has got a special place in all our hearts. Love the club to bits. Let's keep supporting them. Let's get them back up in Super League and get those crowds, those grandstands full.
Des Clark, Gavin Clinch, Greg Florimo, and of course, Damian Gibson. Boys, thank you very much for your time for this very special podcast for the Halifax SOS weekend. Hope to see you all soon.
Wow, if you made it this far, thank you so much. I must admit, when I watched that show the first time around with Gibbo and the guys and Brian Carney, it was really just so much fun. I felt really privileged to be able to kind of sit there because it was very light-hearted, very informal. And, they're just really such a great, generous bunch of blokes who really love the town. And even the ones back in Oz still think very, very positively about the town as well. So I want to just thank everybody that's been involved, every guest, every person who's bought a ticket, every sponsor. It really is going to make a big difference. So we will announce how much money has been raised and obviously how that's been distributed. If you're a club that's applied for a grant, we'll be in touch this next week about how to claim that. But just a big thanks again, and thanks to our sponsors. Without those kind of stepping in, it would have been a little bit harder. Some of that cash would have been harder to come by and just reliant on tickets. So I just want to thank you for staying and watching. You can still donate. Also send us details. What did you like? I've got to say we did this in under a week, and that's really from start to finish. So we had an idea a few weeks ago that this was maybe something we wanted to do, but it didn't really start till Monday. So 6 days later, I'm really very proud of everybody. And again, a thanks to Alex at T-Rex Media for the video and the editing. Thanks to all the volunteers. There's people like Neil Davidson, Steve Duncan, Mike Sheldrake, Dave Grayson, everybody who's been really pulling behind the scenes. So it's really been a mammoth effort in a very short period of time. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Do you want to see another Halifax SOS support our sport in the future? Do you want Halifax Town to be involved in a recipient? That was one of our original ideas, but they just didn't work out, and that's totally okay. Do we want to, try and get a bit, maybe better production values? We're doing this on shaky iPhones and Zoom calls. Maybe you liked it. Maybe it was a bit different. Maybe there's other people you'd like to hear from. Hopefully we'll be out of things like furlough, so we'll be able to get some of the new guys as well. So within a week, I think, you can give yourself a pat on the back. It's been an incredible response. You've given up quite a lot of your weekend, and I do really appreciate that as well. So again, a big thanks to the sponsors, a big thanks to the guests. If you want to see how to donate and maybe add a contribution, maybe you can top that fund up, then that would be go to snowflakemedia.co.uk/Halifax SOS, and hopefully we'll see you all again at a game very, very soon, and hopefully we'll start to see some of these restrictions lifted. Stay safe, stay home, unless of course Boris has just told us a little bit different, and protect the NHS. Big thank you to all those workers and key workers out there. I know we're all itching to get back into real world, as it were, for us. But we got to take care of each other, and we got to make sure we go forward. So big thank you to everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's been strange having a bank holiday Friday. I'm Lee Kenny signing off, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.